get serious like 5 minutes from now or something.
All
Like,
right,
okay,
sounds
we're
good.
really starting the pregame show now. Okay, let's close that because I have that. Let's close this because I have this. Let's grab this because I don't have it yet. Okay, and then we need one more game. That's all. Nope, that's not what we need. Greetings, folks. As you trickle in, we will be starting our pregame show within 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I've got almost all these boards ready. So I've got Falk 1, Falk 2, numbers 1, numbers 2,
Great.
and I've got an endgame study. If we ever just need to give people something to work on while we work on something else, we've got a
Great.
beautiful little endgame study here. An endgame study which has inspired an entire series of videos that I've been recording the last 2 weeks, which
The
is also why
calculation
I've
videos
streamed less. So
are separate from the attacking. Is it separate from that?
yes, it's another series other than the attacking series. There's not too
Great.
much king checkmating in positions like this one right here.
Yeah, I see it. I see it now.
Yeah. All right, so I'll invite you to all my boards as well.
Okay. Great. Looks like we have Latte in chat.
Yeah, we've got Latte, we've got Morphifan.
Well, we've got Morphifan. I can't say anything bad about Morphifan now.
That's right. They're all, they're all going to show up. You can't say anything bad about anybody.
Or I can say something bad about everyone.
Or
and it's fair, right?
Evenly bad, yeah.
All right. It looks like I'm invited to all of those.
Yeah. And if you ever have nothing to do at some point today, you can try and solve this endgame study too. Here, I'm sending you the endgame study.
Okay.
Got your hair back too. He's saying you've got your hair back. Hey, had you been shaved or had you lost your hair? What happened? What's the story with your hair?
My hair or someone in the chat? David's new hairstyle is cool.
Oh, right. Something wrong with the setup.
Oh, it looks like I'm an IM now.
Yeah. What's this called? Chessable? Chessable GM.
Evan, I don't think that that's a good bet to take because I think that you're definitely getting IM far before I ever will even get close to that. But I appreciate it.
That Mitch makes IM before you do. I think a fairer race is NM versus IM. Or maybe CM, like FIDE 2200. Because it's true, it gets like harder the higher up you go. Like Mitch, you could guarantee that he would eventually make NM if he continues going for it. And Evan, you cannot guarantee that he'll make IM if he continues going for it. It's probably like 50-50 or something like that. And then either of you could, of course, be completely scuttled if your partners need you to watch the kid nonstop. Like
Yeah.
That'll be the end. But I would say that it would be fairer to give Mitch like a slightly higher target if you guys wanted to do a race.
I think I might hit CM before I hit NM because my FIDE is higher and it's provisional.
Oh,
So
well, that's good.
yeah, my FIDE. I've only had 2 FIDE ratings 1904, and then now I'm down to 18 something. But my USCF is still 1750. So I think it might be easier to actually get CM before NM, but maybe I'm wrong because maybe opposition might be harder to find for a FIDE.
Let me see if I can add one or two things to this situation here. Before we get going in earnest. This, by the way, folks, is the bracket. Mitch, you could talk them through the bracket if you want while I...
Great, yeah. So the bracket was a little hard to construct because, as David said yesterday, it's not a strict winners bracket and losers bracket. Players that lost in the first game still have the opportunity to play for the third through sixth, as we are seeing today. So due to that, it's a little complicated of a bracket. But in the middle here, we see match 9 is the championship match between Falk and Chess Numbers. So that match determines first and second, with first taking home 8 points for their team and second taking home 7 points for their team. Matches 10 and 11, Seth versus Morphifan and Rangov versus Dritman, will determine third through sixth. So they don't determine a strict third and fourth and a strict fifth and sixth, but rather third and fourth are the winners of those games, and fifth and sixth are the winners of or are the losers of those games. So that third and fourth will get 5.5 points for their team, and sixth and or fifth and sixth will get 3.5 points for their team. So from there, the final match is match 12 there, Maestro versus the End XX. So they're playing for 2 points and 1 point for their team. So interestingly, due to the point system, Team Kostia and Team Matt are playing for first and second, and Team Andras and Team Sasha are playing for third and fourth here. Because the maximum that Andras and Sasha can get is 7.5 points, and the minimum that Kostia or Matt can get is 10.5 points. Yeah, Chess Numbers. I haven't played a USCF tournament in close to 3 years, and that tournament was one that I had played in about a year. So that's been pretty much 4 years since I've actively played tournaments. So my USCF is pretty low because I haven't played. But we'll see. I'm hoping to get back in March to playing. Very excited for that. But we can talk about that another time because today is Ultimate Sensei. Nothing about me. Everything's about these 8 players here and their 4 coaches.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you for that, for walking us through the bracket. Mitch, we are officially in our pregame show now.
Wonderful.
I am officially done with any further setup. We'll work with the graphics we've got from here on out. Below Mitch and I, you can see a beautiful screen capture of a beautiful spreadsheet. Nothing better than that. And this is what we're going to use to track the results of the 4 matches that we've got today. So you can see the sort of championship match in the upper left-hand corner here. And that's Chess Numbers against Falk. And so, at stake, first and second, 8 points versus 7 points. Below them, you can see the index on Chess Maestro 2021 in the 7th to 8th place match. And at stake, 2 points or 1 point. And then over below Mitch, we've got the 2 third through 6th place matches. And the winners of each of those matches will get 5.5 points, and the losers of each of those matches will get 3.5 points for their team. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it's organized also by higher seed on top. So those players should get white in the first game, unless I messed that up.
Okay. Well, you've got Chess Numbers and Dritman, correct. Seth is a top seed as well. And then the Index is a seed above Chess Maestro. Yeah, you got it all right. Absolutely.
Great.
So the player on top in these matches here is always the player who has white in game 1, 3, and any tiebreak game 5, 7, etc. So the format for today, I can jump over to for a second over here, I guess. Here's the format for the finals matches. We're going to have 4-game matches. The time control is 15 plus 5, just like it was yesterday, just like it was on day 1 for these players when they came into that draft tournament, excited, nervous, anxious, wondering what it would be like to have 10 weeks of private lessons with a coach and wondering if they were going to play one bad move that day and not get picked. As I said, the higher seed starts with white. If the match is tied, they just keep going until somebody wins a game. So the important point there is that gives you some advantage by playing white in the odd numbered games, because if you play white in game 5 and you win, you don't need to play a game 6 to equalize colors. It's just over. So the only way one of these matches goes a long time is if you get a long series of draws. Mitch, have we had a single draw yesterday in all the matches?
We didn't have a single draw yesterday, and I can't even remember if there's a single draw in the draft tournament.
Yeah, there was a draw in the draft tournament.
Okay,
but that was like 12 players, 4 rounds.
So there was a draw in the draft tournament, but there wasn't any in the exhibition matches. So there was one draw this season so far.
Okay.
Also, I believe I got the team prizes wrong in this graphic. I forgot to tell you that before we went live. Sorry about that, everyone. That's my fault.
Oh, right. I can go fix those. Okay, folks. So before we do that, let's continue the point about no draws. So famously, yesterday, this endgame here was reached between Seth and Falk, which I immediately evaluated as this is a drawish endgame that will end with somebody blundering and losing. And part of the reasoning for that was that there had been 0 draws so far in this tournament, right? So if you have 0 draws ever, then you need a really, really dead drawn position before you start predicting a draw. And this imbalance, the mix of opposite colored bishops, the knight that can hop around, one player having more pawns than the other player, there's just so many things that can happen. And we're going to be reviewing both of the matches that gave us our championship bracket. So we'll be looking into these games in a little bit here, but let me finish up the discussion of the format here. So we don't expect a super long match. Like in theory, they could be playing and playing and playing, but we expect that there will be at most 1 or 2 draws in a single match, even if it's tied. I would be surprised if we get a really long string. Thrilled. But surprised. And I know that up to a certain level, it's like very rare to have a lot of draws.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
You would expect 1 or 2 draws in like a full day of play, but you wouldn't like expect that nobody could break through and they're searching for an opening advantage with white at, the 1600 level.
I completely agree. I think if we had seen any draws, I think we would have seen them in round 1. I think that those rounds, interestingly, I thought that each of the round 1 setups were the players of similar styles. So I think we could have seen some draws in round 1, but now I think that we kind of have opposites in most of the matches, which I find very interesting.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
We see Falk versus chess numbers, and we had a discussion, or you had a discussion with Matt, I think, on the variance of some of the players, with me pointing out in my predictions that chess numbers and Dritman were the 2 highest variance players. And after watching Dai play as well, I think he is another one of the high variance players, where I think that chess numbers has the highest variance of all of the field. I said in my predictions I could see him getting 1st or 8th, and it's looking like he's vying for 1st right now.
Yeah.
But I think that he has very high variance, and we'll go over some of his games. And we saw with his second game with Dritman, completely losing position that he ended up winning. And same with one of his games against Dai. Very fortunate to get the win in the second game. Uh, but he also had an extremely clean game against Drittman in the first game.
Hmm.
So I think Chess Numbers is a very high variance player, but I think Falk is Mr. Consistency. So
Yep.
I think we have the championship is going to be um, two opposites there
Hmm.
on that spectrum, and then I think the seventh eighth match is going to be very interesting because we have Chess Maestro who flagged in one of his games versus Dai who was playing extremely
The
quickly.
fastest of anybody, yeah. That's right. You've got the slowest player against the fastest player there.
Yeah, and then
Um,
we've got Renga versus Drittman. I think is another kind of case of consistency versus variance
mhm.
with Drittman and Renga, I think being the second most consistent, second most variance players. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't have a talk track for Seth versus Morphe Fan. I don't see an opposites there.
Okay.
But maybe you can say solid versus attacking.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Despite his 1d4 repertoire, it's clear that Morphe Fan's a very aggressive player.
yeah,
Um,
Morphe Fan's repertoire is very interesting because it's almost exactly mine, other than his response to D4.
mhm.
So I've enjoyed watching some of Morphe Fan's games to get some ideas for my own repertoire.
Yeah. Maybe Morphe Fan along with Drittman are the two most likely to sacrifice material
Mm-hmm.
in this field, and Seth is probably maybe the least likely to sack material. Although he did play a sacrifice yesterday in his game with Falk, which Andras
Mm-hmm.
was like rooting for. So we can't pigeonhole anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the matchups. Let me finish up over here with our rules. We've got the correct team prizes up now. There's $1,000 to the top team, $800 to the second place team, $600 to the third team, and $400 to the fourth team. And these teams have already racked up some winnings over the course of the season through
Mm-hmm.
each of the special events on our Saturdays every 2 weeks. There were $600 at stake there. The way the team score is going to work out today is you can look at the individual scores down there, and then just however they finish up. Congratulations, by the way, to King is Watching, Innard Games, and Ed on Arrival for winning the Dojo Sunday morning under 1,000 section. Nice.
Congrats.
Rapid tournaments just wrapping up right now. Um, so basically, you're just gonna add the team points, right? Like if Seth
Mm-hmm.
had 5.5 points and Seth's teammate is Chess Numbers, and let's say Chess Numbers had 7 points and Seth had 5.5, you'd add them together. 12.5 points would be the team score, and then you would just see where the team then finished between first and fourth place. And because teams Kostya and Matt each have one player in the championship match and one player in the third to sixth place match, they're kind of neck and neck for first and second place.
Mm-hmm.
And then teams Sasha and Andras having one player in the seventh to eighth place match and one player in the third to sixth place match, they're neck and neck for finishing third or fourth. So either of those teams could pass the other one I mentioned with it, but there's no way that one of the
Mm-hmm.
third, fourth place teams could pass one of the first, second place teams at this point in the standings. And that's all the format for today. Does anybody have any questions about the rules or what's going on today, or what we're going to see before Mitch and I move on to reviewing some of the key moments from yesterday?
I think while we're giving them the chance to ask questions, I have the interesting observation that I think that the matches 10 and 11, the third, fourth place matches,
Mm-hmm.
are probably going to actually be more important to the standings than the championship match due to the fact that 2 points are on the line instead of one.
That's right.
Um, However, if the teammate, if Team Coasty and Team Matt finish in the same place in those matches, then it's entirely on the first place match to determine the ultimate sensei.
That's right. That's absolutely right. You can see the 2 point differential here, everybody, that the third, fourth which is if you win today, you get third, fourth. If you lose today in those middle two matches, you get 3.5. That 2-point difference would be enough to overwhelm the 1 point on the championship match. So there's a couple interesting scenarios there, just like Mitch was saying. Like if and I'll go to the brackets for a second. Like if Seth lost to Morphifan and Dritman beat Rengao, then Dritman's team Kostya would win regardless of whether or not chess numbers beat Falk. But the championship match still matters, even though it's half as many points, because if Seth and Dritman have the same result, if they both win or they both lose, then it will be determined by Falk versus chess numbers.
Yes, exactly.
So from an individual perspective, also, you could say the championship match is the most important. Like if somebody's been following the season and there's just one player they've been rooting for, and that player is either Falk or chess numbers and they made it to the championship match, or if you're just like a rugged individualist at heart, then to you, Falk versus chess numbers, that's like, you know, the individual student champion. That could be very important. But the real purpose of this is to see which team wins. To me, that's the more important point. And these matches between Seth and Morphifan and Rengao and Dritman are going to provide 2 points, which is going to be more important and is going to really be critical to that finish there. Okay, so let's see if there were any questions about this. Evan Rosenberg saying that the winner of Ultimate Sensei is the Sensei. Yes, that's correct, Rosenberg. I mean, the students are part of it too. It's like we call it like the team. But the name of the show in the end is Ultimate Sensei, not Ultimate Students. So you could say that the students are kind of puppets that amuse you while the battle is being waged like on a different teaching level, coaching level within the coaches' heads, which is kind of like the idea and the premise of the show, which may or may not be a true premise, but the idea is that like a really good coach, in a mix of like picking what student is right for them, in a mix of how to train that student, in a mix of analyzing like the whole field of students that their students are going to have to play against, could somehow puppet master the whole thing. That is the idea. It is what we're sort of looking for and exploring as far as like the inspirational question for this whole program. All right, and I see no other questions. So, Q42. If the Ultimate Sensei is around and available today, we may interview them. But Matt is traveling today, so if Team Matt wins, we'll have to arrange like a follow-up, just special interview with him someday. You know, like one of us just sit down with the Ultimate Sensei and say like, okay, what can you tell us about how you ended up winning this thing, you know? And maybe they'll say, you know, well, it was just, you know, it was like a toss-up and the other players improved also and it was a close call and we won because this one game fell our way. Or maybe he'll say, you know, I did this and I did that and I think that, you know, I really dominated this competition. So we'll see. But we've got about 20 minutes set aside here to look at these two matches. So let's spend 10 minutes. Let's start with the Seth versus Falk match, which I think was really determined in the end game. So here's game one of that match. And at this point, they had just transitioned into the end game. Seth played a very good move. Sorry, we transitioned into the end game one move ago. So technically here. And Seth immediate plays a very good move here, F3. Restricting the D5 bishop, putting the pawns on the correct square so his dark square bishop can move around well. Gets a rook to the 7th rank. Everything's fine. Falk brings the rook to C2. And now there's a bit of a problem with the knight on D2. If white wanted to outplay black in this equalish position, right? The way they would have to outplay black would be to get this knight to a really strong dark square. It's on the correct color of square right now, but it's defensive versus offensive. If this knight were on a square like E5 or F4, then you can start to imagine how white could outplay black. You could start weaving mating nets around the black king. You could pressure the E6 pawn. You could maybe take away squares from the bishop on D5. So that would be like the clear scenario that white would be gunning for in this kind of a position. Um, at the moment, though, it looks like black's got the knight kind of under control.
Yeah, the bishop 3 squares away from the knight always dominates the knight. So that's a well placed bishop for sure.
Yeah. And if that knight's going to stay a little bit passive, then I guess you could say that Falk has the better side of the equality. Although with only one pawn on the board, like it's very hard to come up with like winning plans for black, shall we say. But white could be a little bit uncomfortable if all your pieces are active and their knight is not active. So
yeah, I agree. I think that we see Falk find a really nice idea here. That well, first knight e4 I think is a huge blunder.
okay.
Trading off the minor piece that you said could potentially be the winning method for white. So I think that's the first mistake.
Okay.
But then I think that Falk really from here finds the nice idea to try to win the bishop, which more or less is a blundered into by Seth. But you do have to have that winning mentality to try to go for what Falk goes for here.
Yeah, so this pawn is in danger. And this rook f7 check might just help black, but it's a hard choice to make.
Yeah.
The king comes to e4, it looks pretty good. Yeah, and here Falk sets a trap. Rather than check, he goes to cut off the king. What would happen if he went directly for checks? Like, how would this be at all dangerous for white?
I guess rook c3 is the check here.
Yeah,
there's attacking white.
There's two options now: rook c3 or rook h1, threatening rook g8 mate.
Yeah, that's true.
White can probably chase you back with like rook f4 or something. So
yeah,
say he comes check.
So the king either goes to g4 or
right.
blocks with the rook.
Or blocks with the rook. You could check the king away and then win a pawn, plus have the king stuck on the side. That's probably winning for black.
Yeah, I think that's probably a win there.
So the king would come up to g4, I suppose, and we could check him, and he would have to go to the h file and drop the g2 pawn. So actually, Falk could have directly gone for this rook c1 as well.
Yeah, I think
this looks really powerful. I mean, it's more or less forced moves from white. 2 branches here. We win a pawn against either one. Yeah, okay, so he could have just gone for that. So it was very dangerous, this e5 and rook f7, bringing the black king to better squares. You need this pawn to, like, cover some light squares for you with the dark squared bishop. So I think this is, like, another little slip.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Falk's just able to just straight up attack the white king with 2 rooks plus his king. That's kind of his mating attack.
Yeah, an only move here to not drop the bishop is g3, and that's a really hard thing to find, I think. Unless you definitely see what black is going for. And I think that was the issue. I don't have clocks here to see the times, if Seth spent time here or not.
Right.
But Seth definitely had to detect that the bishop was about to be lost. And then g3 keeps the bishop, but it's hard to play from there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it keeps the piece,
square.
so it keeps the game going. And again, black has a very small amount of material to win the game with, right? Like, because Falk only has this one pawn, it's like his main way of trying to win the game is to try and checkmate with the 2 rook and king army, which really makes me think if the white pawn hadn't advanced, you know, if these pawns hadn't been forced to advance off of light squares so that white's position becomes sort of monochromatic in terms of control, with the pawns on g2 and e4, it's hard to imagine the black king ever getting in or getting active. And then you imagine that...
the king can't centralize here because the pawns control all of here and the bishop controls this diagonal. So the king can never get into the center. Even if he comes this way, he can't get to the center. So
Yeah.
I definitely think e5 probably a mistake, as well as the initial knight e4,
Yeah.
giving up the only piece that can defend a light square. I mean, other than of course the rook, but
So maybe in this position to calculate bishop f2
yeah.
immediately without the checks that were thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, with rook h8, Falk set this trap. Seth didn't play g3, and then Falk won the piece and went on to win this game. So that was the first game, I would say, decided in the end game.
Yeah.
I mean, the game was very, very complicated and interesting before that, but we kind of have like an equalish end game that Black manages to win like that. The next game, I remember that basically what happened is that Seth ran out of time here. Like they had a complicated game where Falk had this time advantage because of his opening prep, and
Mm-hmm.
Falk probably should have been able to win the game in the middle game. That's what both Andras and I thought. But Seth managed to defend it all the way to the end game. And so they reached the end game at this point here. But Seth was already down to, I think, 9 seconds. Something on the order
Yeah.
of 10 or less
This
seconds,
is
right?
very low.
So that becomes very like decisive here. This could also potentially be an interesting end game to play out. Maybe there was an interesting move, bishop b7 here. I didn't even think of it during the live broadcast because Seth had so little time that I didn't have time to think of a move for him, right? But now looking at it, I remember that on bishop e6, White could win one pawn, and then it's obvious that White is going to be in the driver's seat of the endgame with that extra pawn. But now I'm seeing like, hey, maybe bishop b7 would have been a more interesting, would have actually been an interesting endgame where you don't know who's coming out ahead.
But White can still just give up the g2 pawn and put the king on f1, and I think Black is kind of out of threats after that, right? So if rook takes e5, rook takes g2, king f1. And
So if you go rook takes e5, maybe bishop g2 is going to be better than rook g2 to try and keep the king like in a bottled up area.
Yeah.
And a bishop pair can do some damage even with limited material if you keep the king stuck over there.
Yeah, bishop takes g2 is a lot better. I was thinking after rook g2, Black doesn't have any threats, but keeping the king kind of exposed on g1, I think, is the correct way to play that.
Yeah, and it's not even like 100% clear Black has no threats. Like you play rook h2, maybe you're threatening bishop a6 or bishop f3.
Yeah, so rook takes f5, just gobbling more pawns and protecting the f3 square.
Right.
Then I guess bishop to...
You're covering the main threat, and on bishop a6, then you come back to g1.
Yeah.
And on rook h1, king e2, bishop a6, king f3, and your king sort of like
f3
eventually gets up the board, it seems.
On e3, you lose the exchange back. So f3.
Right. If I go to e3, I mean, this... You could say the a pawn gives you like an edge, but it's, I mean...
Or no, f4 actually, so we're not losing the exchange back.
Okay, f4, yeah. But I definitely feel like, big factor here, just like not having the time in this particular endgame phase here.
It's
and
very complicated still, so...
Yeah, and maybe from what he's saying, the amount of time pressure in the previous endgame that we saw that was more clearly like an equal endgame with a lot of play left. Maybe there was also time pressure as a big factor in that one. Let's turn quickly.
Seth and Ty are in chat giving a lot of praises to Matt on his coaching, and I will agree. I watched several of Matt's streams. They were a convenient time for me, so I got to see a lot of them, and I think Matt did really well at coaching both of them. I'd say both of them are very much improved from the draft tournament.
Nice. So we're going to turn to the other side of the bracket for a second and see how Bob Joe Jim, aka Chess Numbers, made it to the finals. And actually, he was playing Dripman while Seth was playing Falk. So it was like Matt versus Kostya.
Yeah,
completely.
Matt versus Kostya
in round two.
Andres versus Sasha.
And they split 1-1 and 1-1. So neither coach yet came out on top, and in theory, they'd be tied in points right now if there were sort of if there were an intermediate point scheme. So today, they'll have to see if they can pull ahead one from the other. All right, so let's see how Bob Joe Jim played this first game against Dripman. So Dripman had been playing this variation all day. Oh yeah, I remember this game here. This game was very smooth and one can almost say easy for chess numbers because Dripman handed the center and then the bishop pair. And this game was pretty easy for Bob Joe Jim. We've seen this one. I'm more interested in the second game from this match.
Yeah, I definitely think that this first game was a very clean win by chess numbers.
Yeah.
So that was very good for him. And with the theory that Dripman has a little bit of tilt, I think that he's improved that a lot since 2 weeks ago. But it definitely put chess numbers in the driver's seat for the match to win the first game.
Yeah. Yeah, this game definitely went wrong for Dripman, who used to be like a Scotch player and came into this tournament playing the Italian game as a switch, which I think was like a surprise for his opponents. And he played it relatively quite well for a new opening yesterday, right? For like a newish opening. I mean, he played 2 really, really good games with it. That's how he won his first match, was partly how well he played the Italian game. But that game there was, just much worse. So anyway, let's see the second game, because they got another Italian game, this time with Dripman with black, and he managed to get a really good position this game. So this is interesting. They're playing my childhood variation, which is now a popular opening. Bishop g4, yep, h3, bishop h5. It boggles my mind that, like, Magnus and Wesley and other people are like playing this opening now.
Yeah, it's just so hard to find an advantage against a few lines of the Roy Lopez for black, that I think that they're wanting to play more Italian.
So as soon as black castles, chess numbers feels like now he can play g4. And I'm sure Dripman would have liked to have a piece to sack on g4 right here.
Yeah.
But he had to settle for there's a weakness over here. And he'll try and get into it later. So knight to a4.
Yeah, so I think knight a4 here is a mistake by chess numbers that kind of leads to the course of the game. Chess numbers just played g4, expanding on the king side, weakening his king, where his opponent has several pieces on the king side or pointed to the king side at least. And then playing knight a4 on the queen side, taking a piece away that could potentially trade off for the knight on e4 at some point to lessen black's attack, and instead going all the way over to a4 as far away as possible from defending. So I think that that's kind of where we see Dripman get an attack from.
Yeah, also, I mean, this variation here from white is very, very intricate and complicated strategically. So it can be very, very hard to figure out what you're trying to do. On the one hand, you want to control the c5 square because you want to keep black from playing c5. That's one of the ideas of this variation, right? Controlling c5. But another idea is to keep the bishop on b6 out of play. If that's your idea, then you don't want to go trade it with your knight on c3, right? Like, you're trying to say this bishop is not good over here and that you're going to have an advantage on the king side. The other thing is you have to realize that, like, since black doesn't seem to have c5 at the moment, I mean, whether or not they have c5, you always have to look at f6. And in this case, also f5, I guess, with the pawn here. But the same thing, you have to always know what you're going to do if the opponent pushes the f pawn. If you want to play this line as white, right? You just have to have in mind, like, what am I going to do if black pushes the f pawn? So you always need to be ready for that. And I imagine, without deep analysis, that, Magnus or Wesley or somebody like that would play bishop e3 here, overprotecting d4, to block out those two pieces, and overprotecting d4 is also going to give you more options for fighting against the move f6, right? More options to do something like, f6, we trade on c6, we trade on f6, and then we put a knight on e5 or something like that. And having your d-pawn defended is going to help you to play a move like knight e5 as well.
Totally agree. I don't think I would have played g4, but I think I would have played bishop e3 at some point in this opening, because I did play this a bit in my scholastic days. and bishop e3 came up a lot because, as you say, the d4 pawn is critical for white to defend.
Yeah. By the way, folks, we are within 10 minutes now of the start of the final 4-game epic matches of Ultimate Sensei. We're getting very, very close. We are reviewing our last game. I've got 1 or 2 non-chess questions for Mitch as well before the senseis come in. Today we'll have Kostya and Sasha taking turns coming in as guest commentators. So we are getting very, very close. If you've got any friends who need to watch this show, it's definitely now's the time to go get them. If you have any social media, let me go set a good example. I'll go on Twitter and mention that our show is live. Let's see. How do you post a tweet on Twitter? Okay, I go here and I say, I put in a link and then I click this blue tweet button, right? There we go. Easy as you like. All right. Charlie's friends are all already here. Well, where is Scotty? Yeah, get Scotty. Okay. So knight a4 we don't like. And even with knight a4 played, you should never take this bishop. F5 is a very strong move by Drittman. And then the trade came in, which should still probably not be played. Knight retreats. And yeah, I think at this point, Mitch, it's probably already correct to say that that black is better, huh?
Yeah, I'd say black is extremely better here. I think if this was 2 GMs playing, black would win from here. But this is still Ultimate Sensei Season 2, so not the case. And yeah, knight h2 a little suspect. Allowing the queen into the dark squares, and from here we see Drittman play very well up until f3, and here I think just queen g3 is the unfortunate miss here, where now we have a material advantage out of the attack.
Oh, sorry, my thing stopped showing some of the moves. So can I just go back to knight h2, fg4, and you talk us through these last 3 moves here again for a second? Sorry.
Yeah, so after fg4, hg4, we see Drittman play queen h4.
Mm-hmm.
And f3 was played by chess numbers here, allowing what I think would be the knockout of queen g3, converting the attack into a material advantage with knight f2, then rook takes, queen takes, and now we're up the exchange, and also a great position from here. Not just up the exchange, but this knight on h2 is questioning its decisions, and I think Drittman could have gone on to win this, but after knight g5, instead of queen g3, we see chess numbers convert very well to get into a better position, and then end up winning this game and end the match with it.
Yeah, actually, this position after queen f2 is probably even better than most people watching would be guessing. Because white is actually really struggling against the queen on f2. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really struggling against her. And I'll just illustrate one thing. Like if you try and get rid of her right now, she can take on d4, right? Like if you try and play like queen d2 or queen f1 or something to get her out of your face, she can take on d4. Well, then the material advantage is just like out of control, right? Like if you go here and trade queens like this, and now black's got this protected pass pawn on d5, your f3 pawn's hanging, your bishop's hanging. Yeah. There's the threat of like knight b3 trapping the rook on a1. So So you might think, if I got to get this queen out of here, I have to trade off the knight to defend d4, right? How else do you defend d4? So one might consider that move, right? And then when you play that move, pawn takes here, and now you try and trade off the queen. Well, if you go to f1, there's queen takes d4, right? So you probably look at queen d2 as your move. And then here, there's an absolutely bone-crushing move for black. What do you think black should do here, Mitch?
If we go rook takes f3.
Yep, that's correct.
And then if knight takes f3, what's the plan from here?
The point is, instead of being up in exchange, you go up a light squared bishop against a dark squared bishop, right? You transfer the game back into a vicious attack, right? The white king's open, the light squares are lost, this bishop can come to e4, and this rook can come to f8, right? White just can't oppose you. Even if they had time to catch up in development, they can't oppose you on the light squares after this happens. There's just literally nothing to do. Like, I mean, the first move should be queen g2 to like cover your pawns, right? But if black even just played a move like queen d3, giving you time, there's nothing you can do as white against bishop e4, rook f8. And if black wants to be really precise, they can give you the check, make you defend, check, make you defend, just not giving you a moment to develop those pieces, right? Then queen check here, king up, because they can't block on g2 anymore, and rook f8. And I would guess this position would be pretty clear to anybody watching once we get to this.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate missed opportunity here, but let's not focus too much on the negative there, and we can see the very nice way that chess numbers ended up coming back in this game after this move here. He doesn't find it on this move, but he does find it on the next move, the very nice knight f6 check.
Yes.
So that was a very nice find by chess numbers, where after c5 it was presented again, and this time chess numbers found it with the knight f6 check, cutting off the rooks from each other and winning the exchange, and then winning the game from here.
Yeah.
Very nice find by chess numbers to bring him into the championship match with Falk.
Yeah. And one other thing I would mention is, like, Drittman's position looked so good to me that when he played knight g5, my response as commentator was like, well, this wasn't like the knockout move, but he probably still has a great position. But I think I was a bit wrong on that, because chess numbers found such a great continuation against this, just taking off wood, trading off the knight, which is not obvious, but like he just needs his d4 pawn not to be hanging here, right? And then this great move, queen c1. And he really just like defended so well with that sequence of moves. So yeah, that turned the tide in that match. Mitch, I want to ask you one more question before we switch to the games. The games need to start in a minute or two here, and Kostya needs to take over with us. But first of all, thank you so much for being with us throughout this season, for writing up power rankings, for giving us graphics such as our extremely complicated bracket, which despite how complicated it is, I want to say, like, you know, the red around the edges, the green around the edges, I'm impressed that you managed to make it at all intelligible, this thing here, because it was really a monster.
I'm really happy that I was able to contribute a little bit. I've really enjoyed Ultimate Sensei when I was on it, and I'm glad to see that it's continuing on with season 2 and season 3 after this one. So
yeah. So you were in the finals last year in Ultimate Sensei Season 1. You made it to the final match, and I have a question for you. Did you feel any nerves or pressure during this like final weekend tournament, or specifically in the finals match, like in round 1 or 2 or 3? How did that tournament experience go for you?
Yeah, I felt a ton of pressure. It was interesting because the final match actually had absolutely no relevance to the standings for the Senseis. So by that point, it was locked in that your team was first, and Team Alex that I was on was second. So it had no implement it had no effect on the standings, but it had a big mental effect for me. The entire season, I was hyped up as kind of the first place seed, even though I didn't end up as first place seed. But in the power rankings, I was first. I was the first round pick, and it was kind of almost predicted that it'd be Kimmy versus Ian in the finals, and it was a lot of pressure playing her. Where Alex and I prepped a lot for what she played most often prior to that, and then she completely changed up her openings for the final. And I kind of lost my preparation edge that I think is my strong suit. So there's a lot of nerves going into that game, into that match with her, that I was losing what was my strength, and she was keeping her strengths in the calculation and tactics, and it was a ton of pressure, and I think that I folded under the pressure a lot, and especially in the second game. I know that everyone was kind of shocked that I resigned pretty early in the second game.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like surprisingly early. I was in a completely losing position, but it was early enough that there was no mate at that point, and there was not a huge material edge. I think I was only down in exchange, but the position felt completely lost. And in a normal online game, I would resign there, but in a match format, it didn't make much sense for me to resign. And maybe she would have messed up, but I just felt completely lost and defeated. So.
And did that
Yeah,
pressure for you all like suddenly come in the final match, or was there already pressure in round one and round two?
yeah, I think it all came in the final match.
It all came in the final
I
match.
played Frank in the first round, and while
Yeah.
he's a very strong opponent, I wasn't concerned going into that. I was pretty sure that I'd play Max in the second game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even prepare for Max, and if we were doing it today, Max, I think, is the big threat in that bracket. But I wasn't too concerned. I had a pretty nice edge in most of my games against Max in the during Ultimate Sensei.
Mm-hmm.
It was all focused on playing Kimmy.
So all your
Most of
pressure
my
was
prep
was on one really super strong opponent.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
the pressure is probably a bit more evenly distributed today because these players are so close that they probably
Mhm.
feel sort of like, I mean, they may know better than us. They have like matchups that they're more or less confident about or something like that. But I
Yeah,
feel like each match is like a little bit more even for each of them. I think probably.
yeah, I agree. I think this year or this season, all 8 players are very close in strength. I think some have edges in certain areas, but they all have weaknesses that I think everyone has identified the strengths and weaknesses of every player, and kind of is thinking about that in every game. And I think that yeah, it's a pretty close field. Uh, we could have seen any 2 players in the top 2 here in the championship, and I wouldn't have been all too surprised. But we see Falk versus Ty, and I think it's an exciting matchup for sure.
All right. Thank you again so much, Mitch. We're gonna kick off the games now for the players. I'm gonna bring Kostya up to the top here to comment with us. I hope you enjoy the show, Mitch. I know you will. We all will.
Yeah.
To all the fans watching, here it comes, the final games of Ultimate Sensei Season 2. It's a 4-game match. It's going to take easily 2 hours, maybe 3 with some tie breaks, maybe 4 if the players get into a more drawish mood. But to all the players, I address you right now. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you so much for your participation so far. You can challenge your opponents. Make sure you get correctly who has white. I can say that real quick if we want. The following players should have white today. The and X should have white in game 1. Hang on, let me go to my thing that has it all correct. And chess numbers should have white in game 1. Dritman should have white in game 1. Seth should have white in game 1. All right, so you can start your challenges. You can leave audio on this Zoom call and just pop back in if you have any technical difficulties. Good luck.
Good luck to all the players. You've done great so far this season, and I'm really looking forward to this final match. Thanks for having me on, David.
Oh, yes, sorry. There will be a half hour, there will be a short break between round 2 and round 3. Let's say a 15-minute break should be enough. So when your second game is done, you can take a 15-minute break before your third game. Other than that, we'll play through. Thank you for that reminder. All right.
All right. Thanks so much, David, for having me on.
Cheers, Mitch. All right, and we've got games already starting right here. A C3 kind of Sicilian over here from Bob Joe Jim. Kostya, welcome. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Welcome, Sensei.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah. How are you doing? How are you doing so far? Enjoying watching day 1? I saw you were in chat. How do you feel it went for your team or for the show as a whole?
Day 1 I thought went fine. It looks like Chess Maestro is having trouble starting the game. I'm not sure if we need to help him with that. Have all the games started?
I see 2 of the 4 games have started.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I guess I'll figure it out. But yeah, I thought day 1 went great. Falk obviously did really well. Drimmen, I thought, did great the first match, and then he I felt like we're actually pretty close, right, to coming back in the second match. So I thought that was good. Honestly, the first day it seemed like any match could go like either way. So like the fact that they got some wins, I think is a big success, because like they easily could have lost both their first matches. Like they had really tough opponents, and but overall I think they played great. I think they totally like rised up to the occasion. So I'm hoping they have a good day today for sure, but I think they already like achieved a lot yesterday. So that was great to see.
Yeah. Cool. We've got all 4 games going now as well. So we are set on the technical side here for the moment. So super. Good.
Awesome,
good there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and have you been keeping track of like the numbers and like the standings? Like do you know where your team can finish depending on how it does today?
No, I'm very confused by the scoring system, but
Okay.
I haven't given it too much thought because I don't think it really changes the strategy for either of them.
Okay.
Like you can't draw a match,
You
right?
can't draw a match, so basically
win
you're
the
just always
match.
trying to win your matches. You don't need to tell your players like, okay, in this match we're gonna do something different. We're gonna do something other than playing our best and trying to win the match.
Yeah. So I didn't really put a lot of focus on it. I felt like I believe if both Falk and Dritman, this is what I know. If both Falk and Dritman win, then we should win the whole thing. If one of them wins, then it's not clear, and if both of them lose, then we're definitely not winning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that seems fair to me. I don't know.
That is correct, actually. I can tell you very specifically, the first and second place teams currently of you and Matt can only finish in first or second.
Oh, so we can't get third. I didn't know
Right.
that.
And the third
Okay.
and fourth place teams can only finish in third and fourth, Andras and Sasha against each other.
Gotcha. So that's good to know. But of course, at this point, I definitely want them to win. So anything short of that would be disappointing. But yeah, well, okay. I mean, the awesome thing about the show and this season is like you get to see just how much better everyone has gotten, which I thought was really obvious in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
As the commissioner, I was able to like follow everyone's lessons, and it was very clear to me that like people were working super hard and improving. This season, of course, I haven't been able to like track the other students so much, but like, yeah, just seeing from their games, I feel like everyone's gotten a lot better, like a lot more solid. So that, to me, that's always just been the best part of the show. It's just seeing all the improvement by the end.
Yeah, that's the big goal of the show. So that's good that's coming through. And you, as a chess teacher, obviously are particularly interested in seeing improvement, and that's why you're on the show. I guess Maestro hasn't made a move on game 1, so something's wrong on Maestro's side. So actually, I guess we only have 3 games really working, and the 4th game they can't figure out how to start.
Well, I can start it for them if you want.
You want to start the game for them?
I mean, I should be able to.
Okay, you can go ahead and give them a match. Let me click on one of the games that does have moves for us to watch. Let's start with the championship. Bob, Joe, Jim, and Falk here. So knight, bishop, bishop. Nobody has hung a rook yet. Rooks are safe and secure here in bed on A1 and A8 and F1 and F8. So that's
Sorry, Chess
right.
Maestro's chess.com username.
Yeah, is chess_maestro and then 2021.
Thank you. All right, let's see if that works.
Oh, and white needs to be the end XX. Needs to have white in the first game.
Yeah. Okay, they're underway.
All right, now let's see if they can move. Yeah, they can move. All right. Game going. All right, so Falk facing a C3 Sicilian. Now, these two met in the exhibition matches 2 weeks ago during the viewer showcase.
Mm-hmm.
That was this matchup here, and I think we got a C3 Sicilian there. So we've got sort of like a repeat opening as far as the players getting to know each other over the course of the season. This would be an opening that they could each have predicted a little bit. We saw Falk showing some opening prep yesterday. Did you help him with that specific opening prep?
I helped him a little bit. I definitely helped him decide what to look at. I have to say though, Falk works extremely hard on his own, and he's obviously done really, really well in the matches so far. I kind of think he would have done well with any coach or with no coach, just because he just works a ton on his own time and he's like studies a lot. And yeah, he was mainly the one like with ideas, like maybe I should play this, maybe I should play this. Actually, his repertoire is like more varied than mine. Like he's willing to go E4, D4, C4. He would go knight f3 if I told him it was a good idea. So he's just up to play any position.
Yeah.
But let's see. Yesterday he played. He had a very nice game in the Najdorf against Renga, and then he played this Botvinnik setup against the King's Indian. So the Najdorf, that was all Falk. Like he's just been playing the Najdorf for a while, and I think it's a great opening for him.
Yeah.
So I didn't really help him other than tell him you should play the Najdorf rather than something that you don't know as well, because he was thinking about maybe trying something new. And I guess the Botvinnik setup, I think that was my suggestion to him. He was thinking about maybe playing the English, and I thought this setup would be kind of annoying for King's Indian players, and I just know that from experience. Though I thought Renga was totally fine in the game. I don't think it was such a huge prep success. I think Falk just ended up playing a little bit better in the time scramble.
Yeah, Renga handles himself well in diverse positions as well, I guess, like Falk. And like Mitch's point that he made, that like a lot of the first round matchups had players with some similar strengths and weaknesses against each other. Like Renga is somebody else who I think like is pretty comfortable in a wide range of positions, always comes up with ideas. So yeah, he survived that aspect of the game, and yeah, Falk just outplayed later on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah. Okay, and then for Drittman, the prep was definitely kind of a success because he won some two very nice games in his first match with this knight f1 idea in the Italian game,
Right.
which I felt like would be kind of unusual and unexpected for his opponent, and it worked out really nice. But I have to give him credit because he, I think, also just played like two really good games, and
Right.
it's sometimes very easy to like get under a ton of pressure when you have like a good prep and you know like he knew he had a good position in both games, and so I'm sure that put a lot of pressure to like win the game quickly, and that can be kind of a tough spot. But I think he handled it very very well.
Yeah. Rosenberg in chat asking about this move f5, saying, tactically, isn't this possible? It doesn't lose the rook on f8. But Matt's point is that the e6 pawn is just terrible forever if you play f5. He's not refuting you tactically. He's just saying strategically you don't
Yeah,
actually want to play that move. What do you think,
yeah, I'm not
Kostya?
a fan of f5 in general in these positions. If there was, if White's pawn was on d4 and their knight was on e5, so we
Mm-hmm.
have like this isolated queen pawn structure. Sometimes f5 I think can be playable there, although you
Yeah.
again have to be super careful. But here, I haven't seen it too much in this structure.
Yeah.
So I would say only as like a last resort for black.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like you're in danger of getting mated. Otherwise,
Right.
it's pretty bad here. I was thinking last move that chess numbers could already throw h4 at the board.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, right, with the idea of like either h5 or putting a piece on g5. Knight
I think.
c3 seems
Mhm.
better, but it was already on my radar that like if you really wanted to, you could start throwing the h pawn.
Yeah, yeah, like typical play, like h4, queen g4, h5, and you're already threatening to sack on g6 a couple times. And then the knight, yeah, often actually goes to like d2 and e4 or c4. But knight c3, of course, makes sense. And I think in general, just developing all your pieces first before playing h4 is probably just a good habit.
Right, rook e1 can't hurt you. Having the option of rook c1 or rook d1 if you need it, although sometimes you don't want to spend a move on those moves because it'll just tend to trade rooks, which might not want to do. But at least having like the lines of communication, being able to overprotect e5, it's like fundamental, right? This is where Nimzovich rears his head. Overprotect the e5 pawn. And I don't know why Sirawan disagrees with that, but like obviously overprotecting e5 here is like a key strategy.
Yeah, yeah. Yasser is really, really harsh on the overprotection thing. I've heard him say it on multiple occasions that it's just like a pointless concept. Like it makes
Right.
no sense to him. But there's so many positions like, King's Indian attack where it's like, yeah, you just build up on the square for different reasons. You know that like one day tactically things are going to open up. Intuitively, it does make sense. Like
Yeah.
I never really got that. Although I'm
Like,
not a fan. I'm no fan of my system, believe me.
right. But like Kostya, you want to play queen g4 at some point, right? Well, e5 better be really well defended before you play queen g4, right? And black plays like
Hmm.
knight takes e5 or something. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, and the other idea is that like you always want to be ready if black plays f5 to just
yep.
kind of pounce on the e file.
Yeah. So rook e1 has a prophylactic purpose as well by being here.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, all kinds of combinations where like the knight goes to e4 and then the knight goes to d6 or the knight goes to f6, and it might be a pawn sack, it might be a piece sack, but then the position opens up and somehow all of White's pieces are super active. And it's like, oh, how did that
Yeah. How did
happen?
that happen? Explain that to me, Yasser. Maybe queen f4 here could be a move. If you play queen h4, then it's complicated to calculate knight e5, knight g5.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
put
sure
queen
about
f4, maybe that's the way to inch towards.
bishop f8.
Yeah.
I was expecting Falk to play queen b4. I thought that was his idea.
Oh.
And then I feel like, I don't know, I think black's position is probably okay, especially if we get the queen trade.
Right. Well, apparently queen b4 was your idea, but it was a good one, Kostya. I think the queen f4 move could be pretty good here. And by the way, I've been generally worried about Falk's position this game. Like if we want to like evaluate, they both could have maybe thought this opening was coming. Queen f4 just played, by the way, by chess numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like last time they played the c3 Sicilian, Falk got the advantage straight out of the opening. I mean, just like nearly borderline winning, just straight from the opening. And this game here, it looks like it's Bob Joe Jim who's sort of like revamped his opening a little bit.
Yeah, this one definitely went well for white. I think, especially at this point, because now any kind of queen b4 is like knight e4, rook e4. Now it's especially knight e4 is super dangerous.
Now queen b4, and we say like, yep, I wanted to do that.
Yeah, so this one definitely is concerning. And actually, I want to ask you: Are you allowing us to talk to the students during the break?
Oh, during that 15-minute break?
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't have a plan on that one either. I guess I would say probably no is fairest. I don't know if every sensei is like available or if some are like asleep or traveling or whatever. So maybe it's easiest just leave the players on their own during the match.
Okay.
On such short notice.
All right, that's fine. Well, good. I left them with strict instructions to figure it out between game 1 and 3.
Okay. So, if something goes wrong in game 1, to like
yeah
figure out something about your opening in a few minutes.
Yeah. So I think hopefully Falk manages.
Yeah. I think Matt and Sasha are watching the broadcast, and Andras is asleep. So Matt and Sasha, we're gonna go with the players are gonna have this 15-minute break between game 2 and 3, and none of us are gonna call up the students and give them 5 minutes of opening prep. Okay, knight e7. I figured that's why Falk moved the bishop to f8 to make room for this piece. He's under heavy pressure here, I have to think.
Yeah.
Heavy pressure. You can send supportive emojis. Absolutely, Sasha. Totally fine. Yeah, Matt, I was partly thinking of the fact that you're traveling. You might not be able to talk to them, so that's one reason to keep the playing field level. And then, of course, Andras is asleep in Australia, so...
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I can assure a level playing field this way. Kostya, if the bishop were on b3, I'd be looking at queen f7 here, but I guess it's probably too soon. Oh my goodness. Actually, if the bishop were on b3, queen f7 would work, because you wouldn't play bishop takes e6 to drag the king out. You would play just knight g5, king h8, bishop e6, trap him in a windmill. That only draws. Too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it still looks pretty strong. I don't know. I think it would be very close.
Yeah, I wanted to do like queen f7, king f7, bishop e6, king e6, knight g5, drag him out, like in the thing that Seth taught us in the showcase, right? That'll be just like that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it for Seth. Seth, we'll play rook b8. And then this would be the step position. Is that what it is? The step, right?
Stepping stone.
Stepping stone, right? So in this position here, we would imagine queen f7, king f7, bishop e6, king e6, knight g5, king f5. Because those moves are relatively forced. There's not a lot of branches. We make that our stepping stone. We imagine that position, and then we stop and look at candidate moves there, right? And in that position, we need to come up with like h3 or f3 or rook e3 or whatever it is here.
Right. Or as I like to say, you treat it like the first move of a new puzzle.
First move of a new puzzle.
Because somehow that gives people superpowers to consider all kinds of moves.
Mm-hmm.
When it's during the visualization, it's kind of hard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, luckily for you and Falk, it's not yet time for queen f7 here, but we have a result. One of the other games is finished.
guess it was
See what happened.
Nargaev
with the first point of the match. Let me try and find the decisive moment, because these positions I'm looking at, he's already up a rook. What? Something happened like dramatically early in this game. So we had, oh, knight c2 takes e3 with check. Seth took the pawn he couldn't take right here.
So Seth went for some kind of exchange King's Indian. And yeah, it's still not easy.
Yeah, so knight b4 at this point was an awkward move for Seth to handle, yeah. Knight a6 to b4. That was tricky. And he spent 3 minutes trying to figure it out, but I guess there was no solution he could find here.
It's a very unpleasant move for white.
Yeah. And then the fact that this, like, that you can force the king to where this is check, very, very unfortunate, and that's game. But it looks like Seth didn't waste that much time here. Oh, I guess this is probably the wrong thing to be doing, like trading and then retreating. Like, I don't know what the right thing is, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an exchange King's Indian, but with like, it's not a typical one, right? The knight's not on f3, black's knight is on a6. Both of these changes, I think, are actually in black's favor. Like the knight on a6 covers c7 nicely, comes out to c5. And then white ended up spending 2 moves on bishop e3, bishop g5. So, yeah, definitely something just didn't go right for white in the opening. I feel like a lot of times white is trying to use some kind of pressure against the e5 pawn. So like you need this knight on f3, but the knight's not even out. So
right. Yeah. So maybe a good thought to try the exchange variation against Nargaev, but then he needed to be just like a little bit more prepared for how to play this variation, because it quickly didn't go well. Let's check on some other boards so that we don't miss any other game before it even ends. So we've got Dritman sacking stuff. Wait, he's not down that much. Wait, he's not down anything against Rengao.
Okay.
I guess he's down like a tiny bit of time on the clock, but apparently this was just his H-pawn that tore through black's position, not like a double piece sack. Rook here. Takes. Queen c8. Oh, avoiding like rook h8, queen h6 or something. Wow. Takes with check. King takes.
So rook takes h8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like it should be nice for white. I don't know how close it is, but
yeah,
maybe something like f4 e5. Maybe just a simple like knight takes b5 also looks very tempting.
Yeah, or just the plain e5, the super vanilla. Let's just make a random pawn trade.
Just open up a little bit.
Just opening up a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Anybody wondering, any donations made during Ultimate Sensei Season 2 shows go towards the prize fund for Ultimate Sensei Season 3. And that is how we raised over $1,000 of this $4,600 prize pot that we have today, is from donations from people who wanted to see Season 2 happen.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And it's also just in general a great way for you all to let us know which shows you want us to put our time and effort into. So yeah, we got like twice as much money on the line this season as season 1 pretty much, I think, because we got, over $1,000 from viewers for this and from chess.com each. So pretty much doubled our prize pot.
Yeah, the first season the show wasn't sponsored at all, I think, or very, very little, just kind of maybe crowd supported. But this season, yeah, we got some sponsorship, which is some awesome growth.
Yeah. Well, like this season, we put in $1,000 of our own money to the prize fund. You, Jesse, and I. But yeah, Dritman goes for knight d5, and I could imagine both these players being in time trouble before this game ends. I think that this position here, Dritman should be looking to trade pawns, not pieces. So I'm not a fan of knight d5. Kind of like the endgame thing where you're trying to trade pieces, not pawns, to like bring home your advantage. In this kind of a position where you're trying to attack a king, it's kind of like the opposite of the endgame, and you want to trade pawns but leave lots of pieces on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It does feel like it seems like he's trying to open everything up, because Black's knight on f6 is holding a lot of stuff together, and now he is kind of just threatening to like take on f6 and then maybe take on d6 one day, depending on how Black recaptures.
Right. Probably queen f6.
Yeah, my guess is Black would want to definitely go straight into the end game. And so that's why I'm not sure if White would want to take like right away or maybe wait for some move. But it's very hard for Black to take, because then queen takes d5. And how do you deal with the check? Because if bishop e6, then b5 hangs. And if e6, then d6 hangs. But yeah, it seemed, I think probably White had a number of good options in that last position. Yeah, it's never clear what's the best thing to do.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to check our fourth game that we haven't seen yet. Die against Maestro. And are the pieces equal? Yes. We've got 2 queenside pawns against 2 central pawns. Cool position. Cool position. Well, I would favor the central pawns. How about you looking at this one?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Black can maybe hold everything together and eventually push e5. But it's not that easy, right? Like, it seems like White might be in time here to create some play with like even f4, f5, or rook 81.
Yeah, you're looking to maybe sack on d5 before Black's organized.
Yeah, this king on f7 feels like Black goes a lot of time to kind of get to safety. I don't know. I mean, really unclear position to me.
I could even see him just hanging out on f7 for the whole game and saying like, well, I've got this sort of like, this as pawn cover plus the knight. Like, you could play with knight e5, or you could sometimes play with h5, h4. Getting the rook active and keeping the knight on g6. And I guess in all those scenarios, yeah, knight d5 or f5 with the pawn are going to be the things to watch out for. Oh, and in the championship game, we've already got checkmate. So, okay, let's just see the moves we missed. So Falk brought the knight to f5. This was right where we were watching. I think some people were expecting knight g5 in chat. So knight f5 got played, makes the trade, and now probably g4. Yeah. Knight f7 and g4 was a thought as well, but this is probably more precise because the knight on g5 looks stronger than the knight on h6 here. Retreating, threatening that knight. King's the only one that can defend it. Don't let the knight go back to g8. It'll be a better defender there. Knight. I've got to say, it looks like Chess Numbers played this game pretty flawlessly and energetically.
Yeah, he played really well.
Now G5, and if the knight moves Queen F7, yeah, it's just smashing, just smashing. Wow. Second smooth game of the event for chess numbers, and not something that you would take for granted. Like at this rating level, you know, it's rare that somebody just like win a whole game without mistakes and just like, you know, make you feel like you didn't have a chance. Normally there's some back and forth, or, you know, one resource that's allowed, and I didn't see it this time.
Yeah, no, that was a very nice game. Also, not easy to do it with white. Just kind of conduct like a nice attack straight through.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, let's put his point on the board for him because he earned that one. And we have a lead in the championship match for chess numbers. And let's keep watching. Maybe Dai and oh no, Drittman and Rangar are maybe getting into more time trouble. Let's flip back over there. Knight d5, Queen h2, threatening mate on c2. Drittman centralizes a piece, and Rangao goes to like queen this g pawn and uncompromising play.
Great source of counterplay for black. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, objectively, I still feel like maybe I would take white, but oof.
Yeah,
really, really hard.
Oof, indeed.
Find your way here.
I found a move for white here. My first move here would have been really bad. It was like knight f5 going on the attack, and then black could have played queen c2 mate. So just like a reminder,
yeah,
that Rangao is playing like two-way chess here. He's playing counterplay. He's using tactics, so you have to be very careful as white. But it looks like Drittman found something that he likes as well here with queen d5. But what I was thinking, Kostya, was that knight takes e7, taking out the base, so to speak, of black's construction, would probably come in time for white to have the upper hand.
You might be right. I don't know. It still looks very sharp, right? Like black takes, you go queen g7, king e8, and then black will push g2.
Yeah. Whew.
I have no idea.
Goodness. Yeah.
Maybe knight e2, you play it. Oh man, g1 equals queen.
Knight e2, g1 equals queen. You have to throw in queen g6 check to cover that
square. No, but
square.
rook can take on g1.
Oh yeah. Oh, nice idea, Kostya. G1, he's just gonna take, leave the knight hanging, and show that, you know, it's good that we opened up the king. Yeah. Okay, crazy
so
position.
Concretely, I think it very close to working.
Yeah.
But
and if you just need to control that pawn, I think there was the option of queen g6 covering the g file, and then c3 supporting your knight and avoiding the mates on c2, and kind of you can probably control that position for white.
Right.
But
right, maybe there's a simpler way. Yeah.
Rangao does not seem to know which way to go after this queen d5 check. So let's see what kind of poison Drittman has in mind. Maybe he's thinking king e7, knight f5, bishop f5, queen d6.
Yeah, I think both players are thinking about this one. But white has to be careful because the mate will be hanging on
Very
c2.
careful. Yeah.
He goes king g6 because I think he was definitely concerned. But now queen g8 is possible.
Yeah, and queen d6 prevents g2. I mean, it could be very, very awkward for black just to take it. Okay, he's doing what you're saying. Coming into g8.
Yeah,
I really thought black was going to play king e7 maybe, but...
Yeah, he must have just been afraid of... Well, there's like knight f5. There's also moves like knight e2 where you just kind of try to take the pawn and the bishop.
Right, just say like, hey, I get back here casually, block this thing, and like my attack is just so vicious.
But yeah, knight f5 I wasn't sure about.
Yeah.
Oh, raid alert.
All right. It's chess.com. Welcome, chess.com. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your time watching Wake on Zay. I hope Giri won that endgame with the pawns against the knight. I'm looking forward to practicing that endgame with Kostya sometime. The 3 pawns against the knight endgame. Yes, he won. All right. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So welcome, everybody. And we're going to let you know what this is that you're watching here. We're going to take a little like time out from our commentary to tell you what we're commenting. This is the finals of a show of ours called Ultimate Sensei. It's our 2nd season. And could this be our first draw in the entire finals? Maybe.
Could be.
And the point of Ultimate Sensei is that we've got 4 teachers, of whom Kostya was one of our 4 senseis. I'm the commissioner of this event. We've got 4 senseis, and they watch a group of players in a 200-point rating band play a draft tournament. And then from that tournament, they draft the players that they want on their team. They coach those players through 10 weeks, multiple intermediate competitions, and now we're at the finals to see whose coaching methods have been the best, and which players have improved the most over these 10 weeks. I've got some graphics I've prepared to show you all, but we've got 15 seconds on the clock here in one of our third place matches, so we're not gonna go away from the board just now. Time pressure is brutal here, Kostya. Do you think that either of these players is better under time pressure than the other?
I do think Drittman is quite comfortable with low time and playing on the increment. Renga, I'm not as sure about. I feel like he maybe gets a little bit more nervous, but the position is honestly so complicated and they don't have any time that like either one of them is very capable of blundering, which is of course nerve-wracking here.
I think he should play e5 here to defend c2 with his queen. So I'm so afraid he's going to get mated on c2 at some point to like g1 and he takes it in this.
Yeah, I think now we might be getting that repetition. Now that Black's Black's g-pawn looks super, super scary.
Super scary. Amazing the counterplay Renga generated with that g-pawn.
No, Drittman's really going for the win here. I mean, I don't blame him. Like he thinks he's better, so he wants to, and he feels very, very comfortable. Again, I should say, playing on the 5 seconds. So
right.
But yeah, it's super, super risky here.
Yeah.
With g1 equals queen just being a huge threat.
Yeah, it's a mess.
I would probably just take the repetition as white. Like I don't see a clean.
When his knight was back on d4, he was definitely winning. But now,
yeah, I think. But it was so hard back then. It was very, very hard.
I guess he could play c3 if he just wants to keep going, right? c3.
That's true. That's true.
Four seconds.
Oh, F4. No, I don't like F4.
Oh, he wants to play queen g7, f5, but g1 is going to cover g7. Something else happens.
Oh, man.
They've got a 5-second increment, by the way, folks who don't know the format here. It's 15 plus 5 is the time control here. Knight to somewhere random off on the side. I mean, oh my gosh.
At least now there's no mate, so that's good,
yeah, Black missed the chance to play g1 and queen on and
no,
queen
I think
c2.
This is turning. That knight is not well on b7. No, Black can just promote.
Mm-hmm. And he does, and now there's trade on d1. Rook f1 is very clean.
Oh man.
And that is G.
That's gonna do it.
Queen d6. Styling. Showing that he can see the whole board under pressure. Wait. King takes rook. How is that the move that forces resignation? That's a little bit weird.
That's a very funny case of mutual blindness. They both saw the X-ray.
Yeah, now Drittman's like gesturing like, you know, he's gesturing on camera like, what? Like he just didn't take my queen and I resigned.
Okay, it's still completely over. Not a huge
not a huge like game-changing resignation. Wow. Well, that was intense. Drittman showed a great desire to win there. They're going straight into game 2 now. Of their 4-game match. Today's format is 4-game matches at 15 plus 5. I'll click to the other game that's the lowest on time, but we're still going to take a quick moment to properly welcome our raiders and introduce ourselves. Thank you, folks, for being here. If you don't know who We are at Chess Dojo. Chess Dojo is run by 3 chess teachers. And this is what we are, a community that values supportiveness, growth mindset, friendship, and camaraderie. And you can see that this show that you're watching now is a show about growing, about players improving. We're a place to learn together, practice together, enjoy chess together, and we come up with new ideas for chess entertainment. Shows like this one here, which is like a totally different scenario. Just seeing what can you do with a 1,500 player in 10 weeks. How good can they get? We've got 3 great teachers, Kosti and myself included, and Grandmaster Jesse Cry is the third of us. And then we have, a Discord server, a Twitch channel, YouTube channel, chess.com group. You're all probably familiar with all that stuff, but those are all the places that you can find us. Here are a number of the shows that we do. We run viewer tournaments where we comment on the viewers' games. We have viewers send in games that they've already played, and we do more in-depth analysis of those games. We've got a talk show / podcast where we talk about things like, FIDE for a week, or cheating in chess, or Magnus Carlsen for a week, or things like that. We host the U.S. Chess School, Endgame Sensei, where Kosti and I work on our own game, and so much more, as you can see. So, Kostya, what do you think of this final game going on here? Did Black just lose their bishop while I was talking?
Oh no. Well, that's definitely not good.
E5 check, unsupporting the bishop on D5. Black was in total control of this endgame.
He did it to himself. Dang.
Yeah. Under time pressure. We can say, though, that Dai has made an improvement from yesterday. This is the most time that Dai has used on any of his games. And we see him now with an edge, knight against 2 pawns in the endgame. Similar to the Geary endgame that you all just watched. For those of you coming from Tata Steel. Black's 1 pawn short of the Geary endgame. So this is still going to be competitive. A knight is often better than 2 pawns, but usually not by a lot. The Black king should be staying closer to the center as much as possible. Right now, rook d7 is possible. So the king should have probably stayed on c7. And here comes the rook into d7. And White's getting in charge now.
Okay, f5. Yeah, at least Chess Maestro, it seems like he's handling the time scrambles much better today.
Yes, playing much
At least
faster
he's,
than previously. Wow, look at that. The move's just coming in as if he were a blitz player. Ooh, that knight got sent somewhere not that great. He's going to be able to collect the c2 pawn, and a whole new chapter begins in this game. The fight against the c4 pawn.
Right. Yeah, whole new chapter. Yeah, now who's better? E3?
Oh, the e pawn is a dude as well here, huh?
Oh man.
Oh no, Dai, you don't have time for the h pawn. You need to fight Black's pawns. Black's pawns are so dangerous. Dai is looking ultra confident with his h pawn though. Rook c5, cut him off. So White needs to trade and play king e3. Yeah, trade and play king e3 would work. Greetings from Rad. Welcome to the show. Hope you enjoy the high stakes finals today. For anyone who doesn't know, there's a prize fund of $4,600 on Ultimate Sensei Season 2, and that's going to be determined today. I'm not sure why rook takes, king takes, knight e5 would work, because after c2, you can't play knight d3. There's a pawn covering d3. Jaliptic. I've almost never seen Jaliptic wrong about a variation, so I'm going to double check this. Knight e5, c2.
No, we got the oh yeah in the chat. The classic oh yeah.
We got the oh yeah. Classic oh yeah.
Rook d7. Takes king e3 felt good.
Yeah.
Though there is a bit of a snag at the end, because you do have to kind of see that the h pawn promotes with check eventually when Black's king is on b2, and then white wins white would have won in that variation. But
Mhm.
now, okay, second chance. And this one better version, because here when the rooks trade on d5, the king is even further away from helping the c pawn.
Yeah. I'm just impressed that Chess Maestro's not flagging. Chess Maestro is somebody who basically plays like classical chess, 45 minutes or more. Does
Right.
not play much like, 10 or 15-minute chess. So this is like a whole new world for him. The index is avoiding the rook trades, and now this king is coming to a great square. That's a nice move because he could use the e pawn or the c pawn depending where this goes. I'm a fan of that choice. Look at that king just taking up position. So now he's got to go rook d8.
d8. It's still going actually. Rook d8, h8, takes, e3.
And then e3, yep. Oh, he's down to the seconds. Gotta do something. Come on, Maestro, move something.
Just give the rook.
Just flag here. Yes. Take it and push the e-pawn. The e-pawn. Yes, the e-pawn. Oh, my goodness. I'm so happy for him. Wow. Let's check the camera. I've never seen him play so fast. Does he look different than normal? The same as normal. He's just relaxed.
White's still good here. He's relaxed.
He looks exactly like he's about to flag. Wow. And the index is working the hardest he's ever worked here. He is fighting on a whole new level today. So he may come up with king f3, e2, king f2, right? He might find it all with the time he's putting in.
Yeah, it seems like just bringing the king back should be all right. Oh man, this is one phase of the game where it's just like a double whammy because the end game is already very tough for players. I've noticed they have a very hard time like calculating, just like king and pawn end games or like races.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do they have a hard time calculating it, it's also very stressful to do so because if you mess up, your opponent gets a new queen oh my god, he promoted with
like this. Yep.
Why is there a queen on the board? Wait, why is there a queen on the board?
He didn't find king f3. He didn't find king f3. And so he decided to go after the f5 pawn and try and keep fighting with, the rook, knight, and the g pawn.
Wow. No, don't flag.
And he flags. No. Oh, and he's upset.
Man.
And he's upset.
Oh, no.
He just got in range of winning that game. He played a valiant effort in that endgame after losing the piece. Whew.
Oh, man.
That is a tough moment. He needs to collect himself for the next game. Good fighting for both of them. I mean, I want to really praise Maestro for not flagging at one point in that endgame. Even though then he did flag. And I want to really praise the NX for spending 14 plus of his 15 minutes on that game and really just showing a whole new level of fight in him.
Right.
But now we'll take us to the championship match. We've got 4 matches going on right now. And every single match is in game 2 now, I believe. So I'm taking us to the championship match for a moment here. You guys can see the scores below us now. Every now and then we'll switch through this scene and you guys can keep track of, where the players are on their quest for 2.5 points. Here we've got Falk trying to play a technical game. He's trying to win by trading queens, even though his opponent has a protected pass pawn on b4. Kostya, is this realistic for White to be pursuing this queen trade here?
Yeah. No, I think White is definitely better in the end game. Like for example, queen c7, rook c7, bishop e6. White can go d5, and Black has to go back. But it is double-edged. Like Black does have this b pawn. It's just I think White is ahead here and can take on a5 pretty soon. But
yeah, so those would be some really passive pieces in the end game. And then as you mentioned, like the key to this position, the only reason that it's like really plausible for White to win is that White wants to turn their activity into winning the a5 pawn. And then the structure will be in White's favor as well.
Yeah. And then this a pawn is super strong. The bishop on g2 is a monster. No, I think this is definitely Falk's type of position, so I feel good about his chances here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I agree. I also like white here. I just wanted you to explain it for us. And Falk apparently played the Trompovsky attack today. Is that a surprise at all to you, his teacher?
No, that is not. It is not.
Not a surprise. All right. So anyone who doesn't know, by the way, Kostya is the coach of Falk and Dritman in these matches here. So Falk, who's in the championship match, the only player to go 4-0 yesterday in his first 2 matches, and Dritman here in the 3rd to 6th place match, who won 1 match and lost 1 match yesterday. For games 3 and 4 today, we'll be joined by Sasha, who is in chat right now as Slow Dumb. And she is the coach of Rengao and the End X. Okay, so this was the start of this game. And then he played C4. We got a typical structure. Yeah, black gets that pass pawn, but he's just happy to play this. And we've gotten the queen trade that he wants. He's well ahead on time. Bob Joe Jim, under 3 minutes, which is acceptable for this phase of the game. I'm more impressed with how confidently Falk's played this so far.
Yeah. I think Falk's time management is definitely improved. I think he kind of started playing with like a lot more confidence, so he's making good moves but faster, which is cool. That is one of the quirks about this show, is that they are playing rapid chess, and like I'm always just training people for classical. We're rarely focusing on like rapid or blitz or things that would be kind of important for this time control.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, they're very different games when you're playing with just like 15 minutes versus like 90 minutes. But I tried not to adjust my coaching too much. I still kind of just focused on stuff that I think, is just good for their chess development overall.
Yeah. Okay, so now would you still go after the A7 pawn, or would you say like the B3 pawn is a little bit dangerous? I want to make sure that I take care of him now that he's not protected.
Yeah, here I would be considering a couple moves.
Mm-hmm.
Rook C5 definitely, but I would also be very interested in a move like Rook B2. And definitely Rook C3 deserves to be calculated as well, and might just be like the simplest.
Right. The first move that occurred to me was Rook C3 going after the pawn, and I calculated, B2, Rook C2 still going after it. But yeah. I think that on second thought, I came up with an even better move here, Kostya. A perhaps strange move, but the technical idea is to put this bishop on B5 here.
Oh, bishop F1?
To support the A pawn and just lock out this A pawn without striking a blow, right?
Yeah, I like bishop C6. That's nice.
So bishop C6, Rook D8, bishop B5. What do you think of that? Just kind of like taking the air out of the B pawn.
I think that's very clean. That's a nice one.
Yeah, normally I would never think of moves like that. I'm just like attacking moves, right?
Still black plays bishop E6 at the end there,
mm-hmm.
and then
yeah,
it's maybe not so easy.
And maybe
like
not so easy.
We're controlling everything, but then how to
we can't capture it yet, and we can't roll the D pawn, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. We've got a bishop D5 suggestion from somebody in chat here.
Yeah, but then bishop E6, I think, is the problem.
Double attack, bishop E6 would be forced. One bad thing about a certain class of bad moves is you never want to play a move that forces your opponent to play a good move. That's the thing to really watch out for. So if bishop E6 is a good move here, then we should really not play bishop D5.
Ooh, David, we've got an in-game Sensei going on in Nargiev versus Seth.
Okay, let's see it. Oh, they've been trained for this.
Big time for man. This is in-game Sensei Fear Factor edition is just like extreme.
Now with the increased stakes of the finals. Look, you Senseis did a great job, but if they play this endgame well, I'm going to take 1% of the credit because I pushed them to work their king and pawn endings.
Yeah.
What
I don't
do you
like
think?
G4 because black has an extra tempo to play king D7 here.
The potential danger for white is the king coming to b5, and Seth did very well in the endgame challenge.
He's winning
Nargave
it.
did not do particularly well, and it looks like the black king can run all the way to a4 right now.
A4 is where it's going. Yeah, not just
And
B5, but A4. That's the problem.
then once you've turned the corner, there's a thing. So there's the opposition. For anyone out there who's not like a big endgame player, there's the opposition you may have heard of. But when you flank, when you turn the corner and get around, then the opposition sometimes doesn't even matter anymore. You've just got control of the game. Once you're into what are kind of like winning squares.
F6. Oh man, Seth's not even my student, but people are so afraid of like activating the king in these endgames. I've seen this so many times. Like king A4 is just game over, and you could people just don't want to, like, they're worried about some pawn break or something.
No!
Man, I feel Matt's pain right now.
Oh man, somewhere right now, yeah, Matt is in agony. Matt is like saying, "Why am I watching? Why am I watching? I told myself not to watch."
Because it's not Seth. Seth is like really good, 100%. He could have found that move, but it's just like something about pawn in games just it just drives people crazy. I don't know.
Please don't run your king to the king side, Seth. At least stay on the queen side. Yeah, Matt's on his way to a hospital right now.
Anyways, David, you were saying about the endgame challenge.
Yeah, what was I saying? That I made them play king and pawn endings and they still don't know them.
Oh no, Nargiev. Oh man.
Yeah.
Look
Just
at
gonna
this.
waltz on over now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But he did that very confidently. I mean, other than his G4
Other than
move
that,
earlier.
he didn't rush his king to the area that was open at first. God, sorry, I can't breathe for a moment here. It'll take me a second to recover. For anybody who's new to our channel, we take it very seriously. We really care about our dojoers, and we end up commenting a lot of games of players between, let's say, like 600 and 2200, and a little bit less of like games of super GMs. So we spent a lot of time looking at this level of game, and we really care about them. Does Sasha have a question for us? Who sees this? A question for all the coaches. Hydrate. She wants us to hydrate, maybe?
I think.
No. I feel like she asked us like a question about this king and pawn ending that she thinks we might not be able to solve. But I guarantee you I can solve it, Sasha.
Oh, I didn't see the question. My bad.
Hydrate and posture check, both? All right. This is brutal. Let's turn to another board.
Yeah.
All the coaches need to hydrate after this game. All right. I'm with you. So the winning team here, this was Coach Andras who got a point here, and Nargave, aka Morphe fan, pushes Seth to the edge in this match. Only needs half a point more here.
Yeah. But 2 games to go.
Falk found something called Bishop C6 double exclam, supposedly in the game. All right, so Bishop C6 was played. Rook E6. No, wait, sorry. Where's the real position? Rook C7, B3, Rook A7, B2, Bishop C6, Rook E6. Okay, so I think Merle's point is that that Falk is going to play Bishop B5 next and be able to basically win this endgame against Bob Joe Jim probably and tie up the championship match here. How do people get into this competition is a great question, Jaliptic, that's on everybody's mind. You apply. When we announce the next Season 3, we will put out an open call for applications. Anybody can apply. And you know, we're looking for a few different things in the students, but anybody can apply. And you just have to be within the correct rating range for whatever that season is.
David, I just want to confirm, you told the students they can take up to 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, between rounds 2 and 3.
There was a question about it in the Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That's right. So that would be Seth and Morphe Fan, I think the first two to reach that spot in this match and get a quick break. So Falk has put the bishop on b5. That's looking good for him. The other games are interesting but not decided yet. Let me just throw up the positions here for coaches and fans of the players. We've got Rangau against Dritman. Totally interesting position going on here. It looks like a King's Indian defense, except no bishop on g7, so I'm going to guess it's like a Rui Lopez closed with d5 from white at some point. Because Dritman often plays e4, e5, and he often uses the f5 pawn break. Like he used it against Falk in
in the draft
tournament, right? He had like a slightly bad position, but he played f5, he got counterplay, and he turned it around.
Yeah, that was one of the best games of the draft, actually. That game
Yeah.
Dritman won against Falk.
Yeah, that's why we didn't hold it against Falk. Like, you drafted Falk first, even though he got beat, because you're like, well, Dritman played really well that game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one is definitely really interesting. It's a position Dritman has, or type of position he's played before.
Yeah.
But objectively, I mean, I feel like white has to be absolutely fine here.
Mm-hmm. But when you say absolutely fine, you mean white's better or equal?
I guess I meant like white's definitely not worse,
Definitely
and
not
very possibly better.
A chance at having an edge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I started off looking for reasons why black might be better. I didn't really find a lot. I think black is okay, but I definitely don't see any reasons why white is.
Yeah.
Simply put, I would take white.
Okay. Season 3's rating range is probably going to be 1,000 to 1,200 USCF/OTB. So if you've got chess.com ratings or Lee Chess ratings or FIDE ratings, there's ways to like adjust those to figure out if you're in the right range. So, all right. So another game, Chess Maestro and the End X. So the End X is up 1 point in this match here. They've got equal material and presumably a small positional advantage for white.
Yeah. Definitely white is better.
Okay.
But you just won the exchange. So white is a lot better. Yeah.
Switching from positional to tactical, there was a rook hanging, so now white, yeah. Hang on, let's see what happened. So queen d6, bishop c5. This is exactly how Maestro got an extra exchange against Seth yesterday. The exact same setup, queen, rook, and bishop c5 move, and then just taking with the extra exchange.
Okay, so Falk did win, by the way. I just caught the end of his game.
Okay, so the game where he was cleaning up pawns. Let's see if we missed anything dramatic here. He took one on b2. He doubled rooks on the 7th. Took the one on a5. There was a exchange sack that didn't matter, and back rank mate. So that match is tied 1-1. I'm definitely hoping for a tight championship match between the top two students this weekend. So that's cool. Looks like they've gone straight into game 3, which is up to them if they like.
And it's a little bit different, actually, because Bob Joe Jim, he didn't go for the immediate allotment. He started with knight f3.
Yeah.
Falk played his d6, and now he goes c3, which is kind of a different system altogether than just playing the immediate c3 Sicilian.
And in game 1, he also played knight f3 on move 2 and then c3 on move 3, I think.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I'm not sure what move order Falk played, because I feel like Falk maybe didn't play d6 that game.
I missed it.
See if I've still got.
Oh, Falk played knight f6 on move 2.
Oh.
Which actually I think is weird. Yeah, my
knight f3, knight f6.
Something went
e5,
really wrong
knight d5, c3, and right into that, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never had a chance to fully figure out that move order. I knew something like slightly unusual had happened with it.
Yeah.
But now, man, this is just like what not to do against the C3 Sicilian. This is what lower rated players than Falk might do
E6. Yeah.
against you if you play the C3 Sicilian, which is let you have the whole center for nothing.
This is not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. I think the first game affected Falk a lot, and he like doesn't want to play that kind of position again. Although at this point, knight f6, it's a different story because white doesn't get e5. But yeah,
he's gonna have a hard time winning this match if he doesn't have a better opening for black.
Right, I agree.
White could already throw the h-pawn here using the newest version of chess. And of course, there's nothing wrong with bishop e3 and bishop e2. But
yeah, the latest meta, h4 is okay in basically any position.
Yeah, certainly a position where your opponent's like down in development and they're fianchettoing.
Yeah, 100%. But well, okay, we'll see what chess numbers goes for.
You just
I think it was. I guess since they're now in the third game, they're. Well, I don't know how much I should reveal, but yeah, I don't think the first game went well for Falk in terms of the opening. I think he mixed some stuff up, and now it's like playing tricks with his head, basically.
Yeah,
which is kind of a bummer. But because so far up until this point, he's been like really, really well prepped.
Yeah.
And
yeah, this position is brutal. D5 is always going to be bad for black, and E5 is always going to be bad for black because white can just push past either way with a very, very comfortable locked-in space advantage. And if he does nothing, white can play queen d2, bishop h6, and start an attack with h4, h5. Or white can play rook c1 and pressure the queen side, and he's kind of worse on both sides of the board.
Yeah.
Not a lot of counterplay.
I like a6. If black can get b5 and bishop b7, then at least there is something to do on the queen side. Knight d7, rook c8, knight b6.
Play for this square here on c4.
Yeah, so I'd be a little worried about the move a4 here from white. I feel like that might be the way to play it. So,
yeah,
at least it's solid enough for black. It's like I honestly kind of prefer this position than the one he got in game 1, because that one is just like his king is weak and white has this like clear way of like attacking it. Here I think white has to at least put in more effort to really make something out of it. But he plays a4, which I think is a good move.
Yeah, chess numbers, playing with your fears, the move you didn't want. What I would have done here is queen d2. And then if black plays b5, I play a4. And then b4, I play knight a2, a5, knight c1, and then knight b3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm just kind of like, I'm just so confident in my d4, e4 pawn center that I'm like, make weaknesses for me. Like try and struggle. It'll only make you like die faster.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. But still, it takes some positional acumen from white to really like fully capitalize on it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's their setup. Let's see how the other games are going. Rangel and Dritman's game. We had a couple piece trades. I thought that was pretty likely. That I didn't see how the pieces tangled up around e4 could avoid sort of trading with each other some at some point, and they did.
Yeah.
Rangel's going to have to improve the knight on f3 at some point.
Yeah, still very double-edged. I think black stands a little bit better than before.
Okay.
Like rook af8, you have a very logical move. You got this pressure on the f file. The knight on g6 can always be maneuvered if you want to put it somewhere else. You can go knight e7 or even knight h8, knight f7.
Yeah.
Some options.
And when white moves the knight here to like d2 or e1, black can almost play knight f4 or rook f4, right? There is some juice in the position.
Yeah, there's some tactical energy for sure. Even a move like Queen A7, like hitting F2 somewhere.
Oh, could be
So Knight
sneaky.
H2.
Trying to stay around the king side.
Yeah, Ringo wants to put knight on G4, which makes sense because it controls F2 and you can jump to E3 in case of like H5.
Right, and it's got E3, so it's always gonna have some option as well
So big question right now would be if Black could play H5.
to stop that.
Yeah, because it's a weakening move, but that knight on G4 is quite a nice piece.
Right, and there could also be scenarios where Black can play H5 to H4 to soften up F4 for the knight. Like if you played Queen A7 and White played Rook D2, and then maybe you had like a pin on the F file, or Queen F7. If you've got a pin on the F file, there could be H5 H4 could threaten to trade on G3 and try to get that square. Okay, he starts like this, and you're frozen because you're worried about knight G4. You're just calculating it like a teacher, like, uh-oh.
Well, it's kind of devious because he has 3 attackers on F2. If knight G4, I think he has to go Rook F5, and then he wants to play H5 and F2 is hanging. But I think White was in time there with like some Rook D2. Anyways, White goes F3, which is maybe not the scariest move.
Right. Yeah, White's a little bunched up. I guess if Black plays H5, White will probably play H4 now. So Drittman goes for the pieces, improves the knight. Looking at Rook G6 and Knight F5, that might be classier than throwing the H pawn at White here.
No, I think that's a very nice plan. If White is going like Knight G4, we go Rook G6, H5, Knight F5, and G3 now is very, very weak.
Okay, he's putting some pressure on Rangao here. Last game, he also had the advantage as they got low on time, and then Rangao had the cool nerves.
No.
And maybe when Drittman and Rangao have finished their second game, that's when we'll welcome Sasha to the show.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, again, I think Knight F4 check just wasn't really leading to much of a follow-up. Like, I didn't see any super dangerous threats Black can create from there after sacking.
The king can kind of tuck. There's still like the extra piece in the area. White's got the second rank, so the rooks can do defensive tasks as needed. White's pretty well coordinated still to fight, and Rangao sends the knight to E3 to stop knight F5. That was really well chosen by him. Right on time to avoid the most dangerous things that could happen. And now, after he trades everything and plays Rook A1, Drittman's position is going to collapse.
Yeah, it could actually... Oh, there he goes very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be overly dramatic, and maybe there's complications Drittman can work up, but certainly it's like in danger of collapse once White's rook is.
Yeah. The trend has drastically changed in White's favor.
He needs a move like, I don't know, like B4, C takes B4, Rook F4, or something like that, right?
Exactly. My feeling it's like objectively still okay. This is also an idea because on Rook A6 he can go E4.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he finds that. But it could very, very easily still go south.
100% he planned E4 when he played Rook F6.
Yeah.
Like,
just plays that immediately.
Yeah. He did this on purpose. And now it's completely a two-way street. After Rook E5, the E pawn is strong.
With the time, anything can happen.
Oh my gosh. He's playing it a little bit too much like a middle game there. Trying to crack White's king position.
Yeah. Oh man, he loves these kinds of moves though, when it's like you could just take a pawn but throw more fire onto the board.
Yeah.
It is good in the middle game, like you said, but in the end game, it can be very strong in the end game too. Here, I think Rook D5 was strong enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it activates your rook, not their rook. Whereas when you play G5, you're kind of like looking to trade their rook. But here, you're like, my rook's good, my E pawn's coming. Like,
whoa. Yeah, why not?
Oh wow, Rangao with the open mind. With the open mind, realizing that you can even play this move. Oh, if his pawn were on E3 before he played G5, he could play E2 after. after that.
Yeah,
trade.
rook b6 e3, but Renga's very careful here. It's still okay. It's a pawn up for white, but
Pawn
it
up for
still
white.
feels drawable. Like e3, rook f2 check. Rook
E3, rook
f5 looks
f1 though.
okay.
E3,
Oh,
rook f1 would
Rook f1, good point.
cover him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's played the best choice he has here, I think, which is rook f5, and then on rook e1 you take,
and rook d2.
rook d2, and you can hold.
Yeah,
for sure.
And German really needs to be okay with a draw here because there's 2 more games and he can still come back.
If he plays a move like rook e5 trying to be better, the white king is closer than the black king. That's an overplay.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. It's on the board.
Yeah. A little similar to game 1, like really, really like high, killer instinct or desire to win from Dritman. Oh, and this king's coming to f4.
Yeah, very much so.
And the chance to save the game is, well, I would think it's technically winning for white now. So it's just a question of difficulty. Like you can bring your rook to d2 still, but white plays rook b4, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not like so easy for white, but it definitely just like feels like more chances. Like definitely better than 50-50, I feel. Win versus draw.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe the best move next is going to be a rook d3 check. Because I don't think rook d2, rook b4 is helpful for black. So white's thinking, which means he's considering also playing king f4 here, as well as rook e4. But that would be an overplay. Good move. He's got under 10 seconds, and he doesn't find rook b4.
No, that seems to allow black to trade everything.
Yep, trade, push the b pawn, and run away with that draw.
Or even rook b3 first, maybe.
Or even rook b3 first, yeah. Why not win the pawn? Why trade it when you can win it?
And then b4. Okay, now white needs to not panic because he's still fine.
Yeah, good choice there with rook b6, actually. That's probably
one
of the better ways to try and hold.
This is definitely,
With white really low on time, that was good. And then send the king towards the passed pawn. Oh, I'm impressed with Renga's endgame instincts right here. Not the strongest part of his game normally, but under time pressure, he really found the right ideas here.
Yeah, I mean, okay, he could have definitely maybe put more pressure, but with this time, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think king h4 there made a huge difference because anyway, black had to defend the b pawn, so
yeah,
you can't at this point. I think white is 100% fine with a draw.
Yeah, it's funny that the player with like the advantage in the end game was like more okay with the draw than the player who should have been trying to defend. That's how it goes sometimes. Okay, so Dritman's not going to try playing like b4 and allowing rook b7, huh? He's going to finally take the first draw of the finals. And that was a tense one. They played that one very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, they're going to take their 15-minute break. We're going to switch to Chess Maestro against the NX. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Special prize to die right here. He has less time than Chess Maestro. He is putting in a whole new level of work.
Special prize to both players because Maestro's not flagging.
And Maestro's not flagging. They both get a prize.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Maybe some collusion. They're like, look, man, we gotta show some stuff for our coaches.
Yeah.
So I'll get in time trouble. You keep your time.
All right. And now I would like to invite Sasha to join our call. Let me get the invite for her.
Yeah, meanwhile, knight h3 check, king g2. Black needs some follow-up, but yeah, just knight g5 is probably only thing, and it should be very straightforward for white, like to convert this with a lot of pawns on the queen side. The only thing is just not to blunder some counterplay.
Yeah, I would advance the b pawn, and as soon as there's a problem, just sack my rook for the knight. if I'm like low on time.
Yeah, absolutely. Rook takes g5 has so many pawns. The one thing I often see players do in this kind of position, they try to chase the queen. They go like queen a2, rook a2, and it's like your opponent's not going to trade, right? So these moves aren't really
right. You just chase the queen around with your queen, right? And then at some point she lands like a queen e4 check tactic on you or something because you've been chasing her.
Yeah. So b5 I think is much more logical. Now black goes rook e8, possibly threatening rook takes e3. And yeah, I don't think this is like a huge threat. White can probably just push like b6, rook takes e3, b7.
Yeah.
And there's no real follow-up there from black, but okay, this is not so easy to allow.
Yeah. All right. We've got Sasha. So, Kostya, thank you very much.
All right.
Good luck to your team. And to your heart. As you watch this, one last question before you go. Matt came in yesterday saying like, oh, he was totally calm. And like within the hour, he was like talking about his medical bills. Are you calm when you watch your players compete here? No.
It's very stressful. And I don't honestly prep a lot of players for specific tournaments. Usually I just work with them and then I don't watch them while they play. They come back to me with their games. Right. Occasionally I'll coach like a World Youth Tournament or this thing where it's like I'm watching them play this like super important, like this is all that we've been working towards. Yeah, it's very stressful because you don't know what's going to happen, and you know that the game can turn either way. You know that it's like never over if they're winning, so you can't count anything until it's done. You also if they're behind, you also have this hope that maybe they can come back because maybe the opponent will blunder. So it's just
right. Like... So you can never stop the like up and down motions. All right.
And I also can't not watch the games because I have to, like yesterday, I have to prep them for the next match. I have to like watch their opponents because they're gonna play more. So I can't just like not watch while they're playing.
Yeah. No escape. All right. Well, Queen C3, speaking of no escapes, might hold that. No, there's always Queen E2. Yeah. Maestro getting low. All right. I'll let Sasha take over. Thank you very much, Kostya. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, thanks, David. And hopefully everyone is being very appreciative of all the work you've done this season because it's really been a ton of organizational effort. And a ton of it is behind the scenes. I think people don't always realize, but you did a great job. So 1-0. We do with that.
Oh, another flag. Yeah. Another flag. Thank you, Kostya.
Yeah. All right, I'll hop out of the call.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, and we welcome Sasha. Hi, how's it going?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, yeah. I was looking at this flag and it was a bit scary. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
I see
how's it going?
On stream.
I see you've been watching the whole thing.
Yeah. I was watching whole thing today and like I watched half yesterday because it was pretty late and I was tired. So like during second half I was just like opening games sometimes, and okay, Davin is in chat already.
Yeah. So your players are both on the break between the second and third games right now. Rengao is ahead by 1 point today, and Dai is ahead by 2 points. So are you satisfied with their play so far today from what you were watching?
I'm really happy with their time management today because yesterday it was a little bit not so well. Yeah, but today I'm really glad that Devin can take his time, even though like it's like in second game maybe it was a little bit too slow. but it's still like not ultra bullet, you know, and I'm really proud.
Good. Good. I'm very impressed too. Did you talk to Dai about this before today?
Yeah. I mean, we even trained like increment before tournament, and like yesterday during warm up, I think Devin just played way too much games without increment, and it didn't really help. No, it didn't fail me, Devin. Oh, finally I got international masters. Thank you, David.
Yeah. And very quickly, it's been taken away by my chat who wants me to correct everything.
I'm fine with international master, don't worry.
Yeah? Okay, I can put it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Honestly, we can give you any title you want on here.
No, I'm fine.
It's just text. Easier than with FIDE.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to watch the matches that aren't your players for 2 or 3 minutes, which is fine. So Nargave here looks to be close to finishing off this match with Seth Lichtenstein. It looks like he's up a bishop.
Yeah, but
with his
we
King's
all
Indian.
know that anything can happen. So.
Yeah, Dai, you get like a 15-minute break between games 2 and 3. You're probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes into it, so you probably have another 11 to 12 minutes. It's up to you and Chess Maestro. But you guys are welcome to take a short break like that and then start the third game when you guys are both ready for it. Okay, blocking with the bishop.
Rook g4 looks nice.
Yeah.
It's not working though, but it looks really nice. I think someone can go for it.
So you could go
just
here,
to make it beautiful.
Here, and then
I mean, no,
Rook
Rook g4 actually, it's good for white. It's good for white.
Seth has
white
played
is
it.
Bad, so.
Seth has played it. I'm going to go to all cams to see if there's any reaction from Lars here. Oh, yep, there's a reaction. He's not happy about that. Wasn't his plan. But
Yeah,
he's adapting
black
quickly.
Is still fine. Yeah, black is still completely fine, so.
Adapting quickly. He's like, okay, I got it after all. But for a moment there, playing too quickly this game, right? 14.5 minutes left out of 15. I mean, just because you're up 2-0, you can't assume
he's
you've won
just
the
saving
match.
some time to think at the moment, maybe.
When the game's all done, then he'll think about the position.
Yeah, okay, that's completely over, yeah.
Completely over. That'll be the end of that game there.
We are not allowed to talk with students during break, but I can send you supportive images, Eric, okay? I can send you supportive images. Wait a second.
Yeah. She's rooting for you, but basically we made the decision today, since not all the senseis were here, that we wouldn't have them consulting with their students during the break. So just to keep it a level field. So you can do whatever you can with the break on your own. Yeah, wow, you've got quite a repertoire of pictures.
Yeah, it's orange. Yeah, guys. That's a good advice for break.
Eat an orange is a good advice for any chess player during a break from Sasha here. And let's check out our other game. Falk and Bob Joe Jim. How's it going? It looks like I just missed a knight capturing a rook, so I'm just going to back it up a second. So here we are. A moment ago.
Okay.
Falk had somehow 2 extra pawns. Bob Joe Jim's entire winning pawn center has already been consumed.
F4 looks pretty weird.
And then knight g3 loses the rook. But I guess f4 is the product of like feeling like he's really got to do something because he's lost his pawns. So how did you lose your pawns, my friend? I'm sorry to back up and find another sad moment for you, but you played knight g5, h6, knight h3, and then your pawn was taken. Yikes. So knight f6, knight g5 was not so good. I guess he needed to move like queen f4, like his first game. Queen f4, queen e3, just to really defend that pawn on e4.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty logical. Or at least queen e3. At least even like bishop d3.
Even bishop
like
d3.
any move.
Any of the moves that really defend that pawn. So knight g5, h6, and I see you're talking with Matt in chat at the same time. Will they stop blundering? Matt. Knight h3, takes on e4, queen e3.
Okay, that's just one pawn. That's only one pawn.
Yeah. But there's the second one. Ooh, a fancy...
Oh, that's the second pawn.
Fancy snack by Falk, leaving the bishop hanging on e4. And I think Matt says the students do stop blundering sometimes, but only secretly when he's not watching. They play their good games when he's not watching.
I think he's talking about titled players.
Oh, titled players. Oh, we hide our blunders better.
Yeah, be blundering secretly.
Titled players. Okay, so Falk just picked both pawns, chased the pieces back. We get the exchange being lost sort of by White, who's in a very tough position now. And uh-oh. Now Matt's going to be happy that they didn't stop blundering, right?
Oh, wait.
Can trade once in queen d4?
I mean, queen f6, queen e4,
Queen f6?
g5, it's fine.
He can still save it, but I guarantee you he didn't see that. Yes, this move will be able to still save Falk here. And there's no knight h5 because of the king on f1. But let's see. Trade, check coming in. And let's go to all cams and confirm that Falk didn't plan this. Yeah, did not plan it. If he planned it, we would have seen queen f6 by now. But he did find it. Sorry, Matt.
I mean, he didn't do g5 yet.
Yeah, it's true. He might not have seen g5 as the follow-up.
I actually like black's position even after like queen b2.
You would still
Maybe
like the
it's
position?
not so bad. Like, for game, yes. Like, it's still playable.
That's true. He was up enough that it would be rook and 3 pawns against 2 pieces. Be playable.
Yeah, he can get tilted, so yeah.
Yeah. He could even play queen takes h4.
Yeah.
Speaking of blundering.
No, queen takes h4. Yeah, okay.
Queen takes h4, knight e6
no, there
check.
is knight h5. There is knight h5.
And then
bishop on d1 is keeping.
The bishop on d1. I didn't say that. All right, he's thinking again. So Falk is working on Kostya's heart here, but he does play g5. Yeah. All right. I think you might have this game, Falk. I think you might have this game. Bob Joe Jim Kobus is chess numbers, and he is in the championship match. He won both his matches yesterday. And, oh yeah, if you want to know which image it is Ty over here in this lower corner. 2 pictures below Sasha. Directly below Sasha is Rengao, her student Eric, waving at us. Right below me, we've got MorphyFan, who is the first person to win a match today. He's got 3 points here. Let me adjust the scores.
Like, didn't blunder checkmate in one. I'm even surprised.
Okay, yeah, bishop c2. One might say it's not a good move to allow the queen trade, but if you give yourself the chance at a mate in one, maybe percentage-wise that was worth it in this bad a position. And Falk won a number of endgames yesterday, so I think there's like a very high percentage chance that he wins this endgame. We've had some endgames, you know, not go the logical way, but Falk hasn't, you know, severely botched any endgames yesterday.
Can you click on my image in Zoom? I'm not sure. I feel like it's lagging a bit on stream.
I see your image okay.
Yeah, can you click on it? Can you click on it?
Sure. What do you want me to do with it?
Okay, it doesn't... Yeah, it changed a little bit. Yeah, okay. It was just like muted on stream. So, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I had the screen
I
on
didn't
call
catch it.
sometimes, so yeah.
All right. So Nargave and Seth are playing the fourth game of their match here, even though it is 3-0 for Nargave. So they're going to play that last game, which is great. I hadn't actually told the students, like, if the match is decided in game 3, do you need to play game 4 or not? I never told them, so I guess it's up to them.
I think they will play it, honestly.
Yeah. It's good.
Because Devin wasn't sure, for example, if he's supposed to play today still after loss yesterday. So I'm not sure like that everyone is good in all this schedule pairings thing.
Yeah. I accidentally gave Lars 3 points for game 3. That is true. Oops. Let's fix that up. All right. So, unless somebody hangs something in this end game, I've got a chance to ask you some questions about the season right now, Sasha, since we've got like a lull in the games before your students come on. So, you had to switch to coaching 2 new students during the season. So you had to do some like catch up. Like, how much were you able to do with Dai? I mean, Rangao you had most of the season with, but Dai you only had like 2 weeks. What were you able to do? What were you able to do on just that sort of a short?
We had like 2 lessons with Dai. We actually had like 2 lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was pretty useful, because Dai had some actually big problems, which could be like solved. And like even after like our first lesson on calculation, he actually started like using it in games. Like he even sent me like a game 2 days after the lesson with like, Sasha, I calculated this line myself and I found this brilliant checkmate. So it was actually helpful because like he never tried to do something like that. So I don't know, maybe we had 3 lessons. Yeah, we had 3 lessons because on last lesson we were playing games of increment to prepare to time control, which didn't really help, as we could see.
Yeah, it seems like he's already like much better today than he was yesterday. Like
he didn't play games without increment today, so he was prepared well.
Yeah, super. So sometimes you've got a player who has had like, very, very few chances to get any kind of like coaching in the past, and you can do a lot in just one lesson even.
Like Devin is like practical player. He plays a lot, like really a lot, but he doesn't like have all this like basic stuff. Like he doesn't know what to think about during game, how to think. So
yeah. And Rangao you had more time with, so you were able to like coach him with kind of like a longer.
Yeah. With Rangao we had like a lot of lessons and a lot of homework. So which he did himself.
Yeah.
So we were able to catch up like a little bit better, and with both my like new students, like main problem is time.
Okay.
As we can see, and psychological problems maybe not only chess.
Right.
Especially with Rangao, like all this pressure, all this short time controls. So it's pretty hard, like for me, for him.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of experience coaching like psychological issues as well as like how the knight moves and which pawn structures are good or bad?
I had some experience. Yeah, that was mostly with younger students, like with some maybe 12 years old girls, and with them it's going like more simple because problems are easier and they like talk with me more maybe, and it's easier to change something. So with like older students, it's little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because problems are already stronger.
That's right. Like you get sometimes an adult who's in time pressure and you just know they're going to spend the rest of their life in time pressure no matter what you tell them.
Yeah, actually with kids, when kids are coming with time pressure, it's also not really fixable.
Okay.
I don't know like anyone who fixed their time pressure problem.
Yeah.
I also have time problem, but I play too fast. I'm more diving type, and I never could fix it for myself.
Okay.
And people who had this time pressure problem that they played too slow also never could fix it. Like they tried, they were writing time near moves, and it still never helped.
Yeah.
What is king c7?
I don't know. Falk took the rook, but he could have just trapped the bishop instead, right? And just won the game.
Yeah, there was like rook a1.
Rook a1 and rook b2 both win the piece.
Yeah, anything.
Rook
c2.
g2 wins it too. So. I mean,
that's still, but
there's almost no way not to win this endgame for black, but definitely he missed a chance to end the game.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so with Renga, do you feel like he made much progress over the course of the season?
Yeah, he made some progress, and I see he's more ready psychologically for this tournament. He feels like he still feels this pressure, of course, but he can deal with it better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty happy with our results. And in chess plan we also improved, but he was good in chess already.
He was already pretty good in chess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taught him a couple times myself too, so like I have, a pretty good sense of his strengths and weaknesses as well. So it's, but interesting to hear what you were working on with him. And yeah, like you, I was like, his chess is pretty good.
To work.
His chess is pretty good. His work is pretty good. Rook f4, is that a mouse slip? There's a bishop. There's a bishop right there.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I think probably there's a lot of pressure on the players still in these matches today. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to like tell my student that like it's great opportunity for them to learn something new, to learn how to play in tournaments because no one had tournaments. Bishop d3 is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
So
nice move. Maybe he'll be upset that he didn't play rook takes bishop, so he'll try and make up for it with king takes bishop.
Yeah.
And a stalemate. Yeah.
It's time for bishop e4, I think.
Yeah. So now rook f1 is possible. Falk giving it a good long look. Yeah. It's getting close to the end of this game.
I'm never sure. Okay, resign. Okay.
He resigns. And so Falk takes the lead now in the championship match, 2-1, puts chess numbers in a must-win game 4. And your students are back playing live, so let's check in on Dai.
Okay, let's give me some heart attack. Thank you.
Yeah. Dai is using the time again. I mean, you can just be very proud of Dai, I think.
Yeah, he promised me, and I actually told him that his opponent got flagged in the previous match, so he remembered about it, and it was pretty helpful.
Yeah, then he knew to never resign, right?
Yeah. I was like, yes, okay, use your time, but your opponent got flagged, so.
Yeah, Maestro's flagged both of the games so far this match. He lost on time in both games. One of them, I know he had an extra queen, and the other one...
I still don't understand what's happened in the end of this game.
And the other one was more complicated, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing about Maestro. Sometimes he just sits there and lets his clock run down to 0. Sometimes from a minute, sometimes from 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. I've worked with him before Andras, so I know him as well. And I will tell you, he's gotten better at it because...
Yeah, would it be funny to watch Ringao versus Mohammed?
Yeah. because sometimes in this tournament, I saw him play like 5 or 6 moves when he was under 10 seconds before flagging. So it's a lot more than he used to do.
Okay.
Definitely some improvement. But definitely the coaching there, needs to be on that psychological part. How are Dai's openings? He's playing like bishop c4.
Oh, his openings like he doesn't have openings. And we didn't have time to fix it.
Yeah.
As you could see yesterday, I think in e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4 opening, that I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So.
But you made a
yeah,
good
we didn't
choice.
have
You
time.
made a good choice not to prioritize that with the 2 weeks you had.
I mean, I didn't even really study openings with Eric as well.
Mm-hmm.
We had some openings session like last lesson, like before tournament, but like on this level it's not important. Someone will blunder in their opening,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2 moves it's not important already
Right.
because everyone will mess up everything.
So even
Even
with
on my level that happens every time. So
even with 10 weeks to work
Yeah.
with these students, you wouldn't like spend like any time on openings in this
no,
competition. Yeah. So you prioritize psychological. If there's a psychological issue, is there anything else that you think is really something where you can get a lot of improvement in 8 to 10 weeks?
We were working on calculation, first of all, on how to think about moves,
Mm-hmm.
how to calculate lines, when you need to stop thinking, and mostly about this thing because, for example, Eric spends a lot of time and it's super helpful for him to understand when he should stop.
Right. Because he's got like a lot of ability, but he can run himself into time pressure thinking about too much.
So he needs to understand that sometimes it's better to make a good move or move you were thinking about instead of looking for better one.
Yeah.
So, and I think he's doing pretty well with this. It's still hard for him, but he's trying, and I see some progress. So.
Yeah. You know, we often have players rated like 1,000 or even lower come into our chat on our Twitch channel and ask us like, you know, should I switch from like the Italian to the Queen's Gambit, or like I've been trying to memorize moves in like Chessable, and I'm like, do you have any tips for how I can like remember these opening variations even better? And sometimes these players are rated like 500. And here you've got Dai, and you can see, folks, that he's playing bishop c4 on move 3, which is basically not a move, you know. And then after e6, c3, which just lets black play d5 if they want to. So here's a player who basically knows no openings by heart. I mean, he knows to like bring out his pieces. Like, he's played chess, but he's got nothing memorized here, and he's 1,700. So for all the 600s out there who want to memorize more openings, Dai is proving that you don't need to.
Yeah, sometimes people come to my chat and telling me something about openings, and I'm sitting there and I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, they are talking about lines which I have never heard about, and I'm sitting like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
And
That's right. Sometimes they know more than the titled players know about some variation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We had a game just end too quickly before we could even turn to it. You might want to look away for a second, Sasha, but it looks like Drittman found a checkmate in the dragon. So this is similar to the opening they played in their first game. You get the trade on c4, trade on g7, h5, and here you cannot take with the knight. I feel like last time Rengel played rook h8 in basically the same position.
I think so.
I mean, I feel like that game there was also the move like queen c7 had been played, and then he came back to defend it after Drittman played queen g5, but it was basically this.
Yes.
And this time he did take with a knight, which is just a famous way to get checkmated. This is just a combination that Drittman would know. I mean, he didn't have to calculate it.
Okay. It's okay. We're just giving our opponent like chance to make something beautiful because we are rooting for beautiful chess, as we all know. So.
All right, so they go into game 4 tied.
Yeah.
A draw would be fun. That would make this the closest match we've had. You know, some draws, a tied match, a tiebreaker.
Yeah, and it's not so good for Eric because pressure getting bigger, so he needs to calm down right now. I hope he can do it.
Yeah. Well, you can check him out on the cameras and see if you think he's doing all right. What do you think?
I mean, he's trying to remove it from his memory, I think. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, before tournament, he asked me what to do if he will lose first game in Dragon, and if he should go for the second one in Dragon as well, and or like should he check some lines before going, or he should like change opening. And I told him like he needs to decide himself, but maybe I would just check some lines. But if he feels like switching, he should switch. But we didn't discuss what to do if he wins first game in Dragon.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't feel like Dripman like used some new move that game. I think
Yeah,
Eric used a new move himself somehow.
Yeah, position was a bit scary in first game, so
yeah,
maybe it was a good idea to change opening if he didn't find something good. But yeah, I think it just was some kind of brain lag.
Yeah, first game was scary, but he played really well.
Yeah, he played well. Yeah, I feel like he wasn't going to take on h5. It was just some, I don't know, lag.
Okay, so so they're going into game 4. It's kind of like maximum stress and pressure for Rangel. So we'll see how far he's come. With that, I'm going to check in on the championship match. We've got chess numbers with Black here in a must-win situation. Falk is up 1 game with the white pieces here. And last move he played Bishop D3. Attacking a pawn that was already sort of hanging. What's the problem with Queen F5 last move?
I don't know, but I don't like Black's position even after Bishop G3.
Okay.
But Queen F5 seemed pretty logical. I don't know, maybe his coach told him to not move his queen too much and develop pieces, you know?
But you don't see like a reason he couldn't take it. I mean, there's not so much going on.
I don't really see it.
Yeah. Okay. So Bishop D3, G6, Knight E5. Falk, by the way, repeating the same opening from last game, Trumpovsky, and here he misses Bishop takes B5. I guess they're just...
We're even gonna see it.
They're just in strategy mode, not tactics mode, huh?
Yeah. Why would they see it? No, it's fine.
Yeah. So if it were Puzzle Rush, I mean, they would find all these moves.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But a lot of players at this level just don't switch modes. And Kostya says he forgot to tell Falk that you can look for tactics during your games. So, oops.
Not bad.
The good news is, I mean, Black doesn't really have a way to defend C6 and B5 very robustly. I mean, there's always going to be a problem for Black.
White isn't going to notice it, I think, and Black can just do Bishop G7 castling, maybe.
Just hope
biggest problem of Black is they can notice it and start trying to protect it.
Right. Like play like a move like A6, trying to save it, then White plays A4, and then the whole queen side opens up badly for you.
Yeah, and maybe White will understand that A6 protects something, and
and then
so it would be good to do Bishop G7 while White didn't understand, and I'm pretty sure White won't notice it. So
especially if you play it quickly. But now you've been thinking so long, it's also like a red flag. Like, why did you think 3 minutes about Bishop G7? You know, like, what's going on here? Yeah. So, Sasha, we had a bunch of people fill out brackets kind of predicting who would win or lose. And about 20% of people predicted that Falk might end up winning the whole thing. And about 6% of people, or was it 4%? Let me double check my graphs. Predicted chess numbers. Let's see. It was 4% predicted chess numbers. Did you have any predictions about who would win? Do you think that Falk is favored in this match, or that they're all just kind of toss-ups?
In this match, I'm like 100% sure Falk is favorite. Especially after seeing chess numbers match versus Davin. I could see it. They blundered like a lot. And Falk looks, I don't know, he looks maybe more calm. I don't know. And he doesn't seem to make so much mistakes. Maybe he doesn't make best moves, but he
Yeah.
oh wow, but he found bishop b5.
Yeah. And I didn't
So-
switch cameras quite fast enough, but we got a little like, out of chess numbers. But I think that 2 minutes on h5 kind of like gave Falk the time to like notice bishop b5. But Ty actually didn't notice it himself while he was thinking on that one.
Is Seth playing? He looks very happy on camera.
Seth just won game 4.
Oh, that's why he's so happy. Okay.
Yeah. And let's see, how did he win it? Rook c8 resigns. He didn't want to. He just didn't want to play a bad endgame.
It didn't help him anyway. Yeah. Okay. He's just happy. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Nargaev was just like, he's like, I've already won the match, so why would I put in any work on a position I don't like? You know?
Yeah, I also resign sometimes when I don't like the position to just go to next
Right.
one.
You're like, why spend 2 more minutes of my life on a position I don't even like? I've got other things to do.
Yeah, okay. I like Black's position, so Black at least did some good job in the last game, which is good.
Yeah. All right. So, over to your other student, the End X, and let's see how he's doing. He's just played d4.
Okay, he just played d4.
Yeah,
okay.
looking to eliminate Black's nice pawn center, and open up all his rooks, which are developed before White's rooks. That looks very strong.
Yeah, d4 is actually a good idea.
And, he must have played a really sneaky rook c1. I mean, I'm impressed actually with rook c1.
Good moves with rooks sometimes.
Yeah.
During our preparation, he was finding some crazy ideas with rook movements, which I didn't see. I didn't see it, and he was finding some stuff like rook b1, b4, b3, rook e3.
Right.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's like a raw genius. Untrained till you. Now he's got 2 weeks of training. Rook c1 and d4. That's that's sweet. That's the mysterious rook move. A lot of pressure on Maestro right here.
Yeah, and time is going down.
Yep, starting to use his time. Well, it's a tough position.
Yeah, and
not to
Devin
use your
also
time.
spending some time, which is very good.
Sorry, what's that?
Devin is also spending time, like he spent
Yeah.
5 minutes, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm very proud.
He's doing well. This is a good point in the game to have about 10 minutes left out of 15, I would say, around here.
Yeah.
It's about the right pace. Die Win, or the End X, is all the way at the bottom below me.
4, 5. Wow.
Three cameras down. And you can see him with his whole setup and all his computer screens.
Did you make him make cam like this?
No. I think
Okay,
his
he
cam
does.
was the other direction yesterday, actually.
Yeah, it was other direction. I was thinking maybe you ask him to do it like to see chat or something.
No, but it's a cool different perspective.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's streaming and wanted to show his perspective. Whoa, we've got an exciting move out of Maestro, F5.
Okay, is taking
What do you
knight
think of
working right now?
So
No,
bishop
after
takes
bishop
e7.
e7.
Could he play pawn takes knight, bishop f8, pawn takes knight?
Not sure.
Maybe he could.
At least chess master gonna spend a lot of time to figure it out. So
Yeah, that's the problem, is he's thinking again here, right? And if you spend 3 minutes on f5, your next move needs to be instant. After white plays one of the most obvious possible moves of trading a piece. I mean,
yeah,
you
no.
spent...
I mean, you can spend like half a minute to check it again. Yeah, and he played
Only
pretty
if you
fast.
can't
Okay,
see one
that's
move
fine.
ahead. If you can see a move ahead, then you just have to play what you planned.
Yeah, but sometimes it's better to check twice
Huh.
because you can accidentally make second move from line or something like this. So it's always good to recheck.
Okay.
Okay, bishop takes rook. Okay, pawn takes knight. Oh my god.
Yeah. Wow, he found it all, though. I mean... And that move he played immediately. Okay, I'm going to give him some credit for that. He played a move instantly. I'm happy. He had some confidence in his calculation there. If you're
okay, that's fine. Like queen e5 and endgame.
Yeah, very interesting endgame still.
Yeah.
Very interesting endgame.
And open line for white.
But Maestro found a very important move right when Daiwin challenged him with this d4 move, which was really good. So I think he did a good job of sensing a key moment and putting in effort, calculating a variation. But to Seth and Maestro and anyone else, my take on this is if you want to double check your variations, do it when you're calculating f5. Do it during the 3 minutes you spend on f5.
No, I mean, you know what the thing? After f5, bishop e7, if black just takes a bishop, it's still not bad for black.
I agree.
So at this moment, you can recheck it because, if taking knight isn't working somehow, you can just take bishop and you're still okay. So you even can do f5 without making final decision if taking knight working, if you're fine with taking bishop as well.
Sure, yes. If you can tell that f5 is the right move and you've got two options, you can play f5 before checking everything and picking your route. I could imagine that.
Because white maybe won't take bishop and you don't want to spend too much time.
Yes, that's right. If you want to not spend too much time and you've seen enough to know that f5 is your move. Absolutely. So I would say, for different players watching, the advice is slightly different. Because it depends on how far you can confidently calculate ahead, and every player should know that number for themselves, right? Are your calculations usually accurate to 1 move, 2 moves, 4 moves, 6 moves? You should know for yourself about how far, and then if that's the case and there's some key variation, I think there's a lot of cases where you should double check it the first time you calculate it. And then once you've made the decision and you know what line you want to play, just follow up a little bit faster. And, if you just look at Maestro's time usage, clearly he could use some more moves where he just follows up quickly.
Devin is ultra bulleting again, which is not so good. 93 for coming.
93 is going to be a big problem here, possibly. Even after queen e5, rook e5, the rooks can't escape this knight.
Okay. Devin gonna be down a bishop, but his e pawn plus f pawn still not so bad, maybe.
Right. So if he
if
traded
take with queen and
queens
take with pawn,
and maybe took here with this pawn, and then knight d3, and maybe g3 trying to play f4, or maybe just f3.
Yeah, maybe g3 or rook cd1. Yeah.
In some position like this, yeah, we'll see. He went for queen e5, and Maestro traded in 1 second.
Yeah, okay.
Doing some good stuff, Maestro. Doing some good stuff. I'm impressed. But impressed as I am, we're gonna have to click around. We're gonna have to check out how the championship game is being played, because this could be the last game of the championship.
Nice king on d7.
And Bob Joe Jim is now up in exchange. So what happened
but
here?
But king on d7.
Bishop c4, bishop f3, knight f3, bishop h6, e4 from Falk. What on earth?
Okay.
Was that move?
Maybe he didn't see bishop c1 coming.
I mean, the guy just put his bishop on h6, right?
Yeah, but maybe he was if pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn with a check. That's why I will have time to protect my rook. Something like that.
You're just in a position where you're completely winning. It's so risky.
No way. He didn't sacrifice it. He blundered it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
His position is still okay.
His position's still interesting because he was up a pawn.
And king on d7, and when black's knight going away, white has some kind of knight e5, which is I
Yeah.
would play with white maybe in practical blitz game.
Sure. I mean, if he wanted the F pawn, bishop F7 was interesting last move as well, just stopping rook E8. And,
Yeah.
maybe then take on G6. That's 3 pawns for the exchange.
Yeah, I like H3 as well, though.
So black's thinking, but, I mean, they got to play knight F6. I guess they could play rook E8 too.
Yeah, rook E8, I will just do queen D3. And knight D5 next move, maybe.
Yeah.
Or bishop F7, if you will let me.
Yeah, so rook E8, queen D3 would only make things worse for black, actually, trying to be clever. So they should just play knight F6.
Yeah, knight F6 and I don't know, some kind of queen H4 and knight E5 coming. I would actually play with white, maybe even in classical game. So
yeah, and it's the wrong rook.
oh, okay.
Because C6 is pretty sensitive this game. Falk even plays queen C2 instead of D3 because he knows that C6 is important.
Here rook isn't protecting C6 anymore, so it makes some sense.
Yeah. It's a good move, queen C2. And quickly.
Yeah.
Lots of pressure on chess numbers. Lots of pressure on chess numbers.
Okay, I forgot who's chess numbers. Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Bob Joe Jim. And time ticking. That's another part of the pressure here. Oh, he's probably thinking he doesn't have to move his knight because he's probably looking like pawn takes. Maybe he could go queen H2. So maybe
yeah,
F6.
but white has F6. Yeah, okay.
Maybe F6 is the genius move that he's trying to cook up
It's
right
not some
here.
kind of move you should do in 2 seconds. But if you spend all this time on F6, then yes. Okay, just knight F6, yeah.
I guess the problem with F6 is then your knight doesn't have a way back. So if white eventually
Yeah,
threatens
there
to
are a
take
lot
it.
of problems.
Okay, but now with the wrong rook coming to E8, right? I mean, if he moves his king, not only is C6 hanging, but knight F7 will fork the rook on H8. So he's really probably still in a bad spot here. He's probably going to sack his rook on E5 right now after thinking
I can't say this knight is worse than rook.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least white can do it if they want. Yeah, it's not good for chess numbers.
Not good for him right now. Whew.
And opponent has 10 minutes, so.
Yeah. Do you think that Falk's playing a little bit too fast
No.
in this match? No? It's okay?
No, I don't think so. He's playing good moves. He doesn't make big mistakes. Maybe he doesn't find all the opportunities, but he is just making good moves and giving opponent time pressure. That's actually a strategy I use. So
like you don't have to play the best move, but play a lot of good moves, don't make blunders, and put pressure.
And he knows his opponent isn't so fast. And now when opponent has 1 minute, it's time to put some problems. Because opponent doesn't have time to solve it all.
Yeah, he had a pre-move there on D takes E5, so he had like the feeling that was coming.
Yeah, like here he can spend his time already.
Yeah, I mean
when
here actually
I would 1 minute.
I would just play bishop F7 quickly here actually.
Yeah,
I mean like
in total.
I would think like you're winning a pawn, you're attacking G6 and C6, and like there's still no joy for the opponent. I would just
here he can take.
Let black suffer. Keep up the pace. Yeah. On the other hand, it's good to keep yourself calm and like balanced. If you're winning on the board and on the clock, and it's the last game in a match, maybe it's fine to just keep yourself kind of collected every now and then.
Yeah, we could see the same in a game of Devin with chess numbers also, like in third game, where Devin had like winning or at least perpetual check position and like a lot of minutes, and he had to just like stop for a second, like spend a minute and just make this draw. And it's the most like it's the hardest part of playing fast, that you need to know when to stop and spend like a minute, calm down, and just make what you need to do.
Yeah, he had 2 minutes at that point, and his opponent something less than 10 seconds. And that was probably, the moment in this whole tournament that had the greatest impact on the final standings, right? Because if Daiwin wins or draws that game, he wins the match. Chess numbers never makes it to the championship match. So, and here Falk relentlessly trades the queens off, and he's into the end game, which he's converted in general so far, every end game he's had. So
Yeah, I mean, at least he isn't going to lose it probably.
yeah, hard to lose it.
He doesn't need to win.
He looks calm. Threatening bishop b5. So the king moves. He's going to get the a7 pawn.
If it would be some kind of queen plus bishop versus queen plus rook, maybe queen plus rook would have some chances, like attacking chances, but knight plus rook, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, active king, at least something.
Yeah, and white's sort of throwing some random checks at black, hoping to end the game, but he can't quite. Oh! The end X has just won his match. Sorry, I missed it. I'm going to back up 3 moves so we can see it.
I just want to see it. Okay, yeah, I see it myself now, I believe. Okay.
So he's in this endgame here with rook and the 2 pawns against rook and bishop.
Okay.
And
oh, some cute checkmate coming. I can feel it. Maybe not.
And he threatens g4 checkmate here.
And bishop c8.
And on bishop c8, yeah, he's got rook f6.
Oh, I wanted rook f6. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
g4 is also checkmate.
Yeah, he just got some with
So
g4.
what black did? Or was this? Oh my
Rook
god,
d7.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So needed to play h5 to secure that square for the king. This is like a typical positional idea in middle games as well. If you want a piece on f5, you know, sometimes you put a pawn on h5 to control g4, and that's how you like create an outpost for a knight or any other piece. And here it was a very valuable piece, and g4 really trapped it. So with that, the end X secures 7th place and 2 points for your team.
Okay. Be good. I don't know, like my players feel a lot of some kind of pressure from me that they don't want like to let me down or something, and I just want them to get some experience, and I really just appreciate they're here.
Okay.
After my team story.
You're like, if you just show up, I'm super happy with you.
Yes,
you don't need to maximize the points.
Just come here, just play your game, please.
Yeah. Your other student, by the way, is up 5 minutes on the clock, and I think about to be up a piece. So
Okay,
Rengao here
look at it.
captures the knight carefully. Dritman was playing for dynamic stuff with the knights on f4 and d5, but Rengao took a little bit of time, calculated it carefully, g3, and took apart.
Okay,
Black's
that's
construction.
good for us. Yeah, I like how Eric doesn't show any emotions when he takes something. Oh, last time he left his place, like yesterday, he had like 2 minutes and he went somewhere. I was like, my heart gonna stop.
Right now, folks, you can show Eric showing absolutely no emotion, just a solid black chair. Total calm. And yeah, looking like he's got a really good chance to equalize this position. It's a lot of pressure to play a must-win game 4. You know, folks, if you've played even if you've played a lot of chess tournaments, but you've never played a match, you don't quite know what that kind of pressure is like when you're, you know, 1 game down in a match. It's a whole special experience and feeling, because in a tournament, you know, if I lose to Sasha and then I get paired with Kostya, I can always think like, okay, well, you know, I lost yesterday, but now it's a new game, new opponent, new matchup, whatever, right? But if you're down a game in a match, I mean, by definition, you're playing against the person who put you down a game. So it's...
Yeah, and you have to win.
Yeah, it's really tough. Right, and it's not enough to like draw or just play a good game. Like, you know, like you've got to win. Yeah.
And especially sometimes there are like openings where you don't like have big chances if your opponent doesn't want to play aggressively as well, and you have to switch all your openings to get something crazy, to have chance to win. Maybe to get some bad position in the opening, but to make it playable.
Right. And by the way, like Falk's technique, I mean, I know he's won every one of these endgames, but the technique has
King
looked
is on
suspicious
C7
again and
back.
again, right? I mean, he let Black put that rook on B2, freezing like 5 of his pieces.
It's crazy.
He's really, really, really struggling to win these endgames. And one thing is he never pushes his pawns soon enough, does he? He like...
Yeah, that's actually good. You can lose your pawn if you push it, but here it's protected. So
That's
I like
unfortunate.
96 move.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
This knight is going to F4 maybe. I feel like White gonna do G3.
G3. Yeah, G3 is the move he should have been playing for a while, I think. Like, you have to, like, you can't just, I mean, you're never going to win the end game off of extra pawns if you never move the extra
Yeah,
pawns.
but I mean G3 against knight F4.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's doing. He's not letting opponent to do anything. So G3 would be, yeah, you see.
That was a good move. That was a good move. I give you both credit.
No, I'm just trying to guess move.
Uh-huh. Check, king up. All right, Falk. Rook takes G5 would be the right direction.
Yeah, but if you take on G5, no, I mean, yeah, I think he's gonna do it now. It's time.
Oh, we haven't talked for a long time about which teacher is coming out on top. So with one match decided for Seth losing to Morphe-Fan, that means that if Dritman somehow won the match against Rengao, that Team Kostya would win. But Dritman's currently losing the match to Rengao, we think.
I don't think anything.
Yeah, I guess
that's
it's
only
still,
one extra piece.
Only one extra piece. Okay, so
yeah. No predictions.
But I guess the other thing it means is if Falk could win this match, that on its own would be enough for Team Kostya to win, because that would keep Team Matt from scoring any extra points on this day 3 here.
Yeah. Falk did something not very good, actually.
Yeah, he left that pawn on h4, right?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why.
Now there's this possible threat to watch out for. Knight d4.
Yeah, I mean, Black got some activity. Of course, it's completely losing, but...
Yeah, but he's still
sometimes when your opponent doesn't have any time and you have completely winning position, that's what Falk has right now.
Yeah.
You just start making like fast moves because you're sure you're gonna win anyway, and your opponent doesn't have time to find something, like for sure. And usually people just start playing like some crazy moves when they have like 5 seconds of clock. They can either blunder something or they can just make like first engine lines, and it's really hard to play when your opponent doesn't have time.
Well, Falk played the best move there.
Yeah, king f3 is good. Yeah.
Stopped knight d4, improved his king.
Yeah, he still spends time. That's good from him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in good control here. He could play f5. He could play rook c4. He could even just play bishop f3, leaving everything else where it is. And just
I think it's harder to find a move he can't make right now. Okay, king e4, I don't know, like rook e1. Yeah.
He didn't see that.
I mean, it's still completely winning, but...
yeah.
It's getting more interesting, maybe. My mistake on the king d3, rook h1. Yeah, still nothing.
Yeah. He's using his extra time, and that's probably keeping him from blundering anything.
Yeah. It's not even about blunders. He just doesn't let opponent chances. Like, doesn't give any chance.
Yeah. He's so slow about
maybe?
advancing his pawns, though.
Yeah.
He makes us wait forever.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to just make this final push.
King F2 is the end now. That's just a tactic.
Okay, yes.
That's just a tactic. Bob Joe Jim trying to set up knight d4, but he's playing these moves with 3 or 4 seconds on his clock, so.
Okay, it's not so simple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, knight a5. I don't like knight a5.
Yeah. He just needed to move something. He had 1.7
yeah,
seconds left
when king d6, not your knight to a5.
King f2? What on earth?
Oh my god, what are you calculating there?
I don't know. Now the knight comes back to c6. It keeps going and going, and bishop f3 will finally end it.
Oh, no. Okay, I didn't want it to finish, but okay, it's over.
There's the look of you've got it. You wanted to keep going with this?
It was pretty funny.
This was too tense for me.
I expected the white to blunder something.
Yeah? Oh, I was really uncomfortable watching.
I just don't have any nerves left already, so I can watch it.
You can just laugh. It doesn't hurt you anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if you've got anything left. If we bring your student back on screen, Renga here, minus his extra piece. I don't know where it is. Maybe you can find it. I can't. No. While we look for his extra piece, it's fair to give a congratulations to Falk and Kostya, because I think that result right there has determined the ultimate Sensei final standings. Pretty much, I think Team Kostya is going to come out with the most points in the end here. I think Falk has won individually. Chess numbers gave him a tough match, smashed him in the first game, and Falk had to fight back today. So, bravo.
Yeah. And Kostya is not even... Oh, yeah, he's here. Okay.
Jeez. Dritman's knight came out.
Can we look where a piece went?
Where the piece went? Sure, we can search for that piece. Oops.
I mean, I think white is okay anyway, but...
Okay, let's look for the piece.
I really want to know.
Knight e5.
Okay, what?
Oh, I guess he thought if pawn takes, rook takes queen.
Oh, okay, I see.
But then this took, and this
took.
Know,
I was looking at players' faces during while we were talking about different game, and I didn't see any emotions.
Well, that's good. That's good if he didn't freak out emotionally over this. But Dritman's knight, even because the bishop on d3 was hanging in that position, right? His knight even got the chance, instead of getting hit by f6 or rook h6 or something, the knight even got to emerge here by taking on f5, and the endgame looks very, very close to equal here. Am I allowed to hope for a tiebreaker?
White is gonna have extra pawn, which is good, you know. What is rook c6? Probably I don't see something.
Yeah.
I don't understand anything.
Okay.
Rook c6, black had rook d2. Why didn't do like bishop c4 if they don't see rook d2 anyway?
Rook d2 was definitely about to be an issue, and rook c6 over attacking a pawn that was already, like, you could already capture
I mean,
it
like, bishop
mysterious.
c4, like, maybe he didn't play bishop c4 because of rook d2, but rook c6 still let's, like, do it.
Yeah. Definitely a mysterious moment there. And now Renga is minutely
now
better
we
here.
need to not do, like, not blunder some fork.
Oh!
It's protected.
I know,
good.
but that's just what you said. That really removes the pressure.
Okay. We can win 3 versus 3. Come on.
I am expecting a draw, but sure. give us some ideas for everybody watching. If they want to someday win 3 on 3.
Win 3 versus 3.
How should they start?
Also, just bring your king and show your opponent you're gonna win. That's the most important part. You need to show your opponent you're winning it.
Run the king up the board with your best, like, I'm winning face.
Yeah. Usually my opponent doesn't even offer me a draw because they're scared to be ashamed of no.
How about rook to c7 and then g4?
And f5 sounds good. Yeah.
That's how Dai won his game, right? So why not Rengao do the same?
Yeah. I don't really like f4 easier for white, but yeah, okay, we did it. Oh, it's kind of sad to blind a piece like this.
Now
I feel sad. Okay, wait. It's not so bad. Okay, king g4.
I think there was a chance to play king g4 there. Yeah. King g4 and black's going to think like h5, right? You take,
Yes.
take, rook check
And
here,
it's
and here.
completely good. No, rook c7, king g6. Come on.
I know, but this would be the dream.
I think he's not going for win. That's his problem. He doesn't mind draw. He doesn't think he can win it.
Ooh, a rook trade though. That was a good thing to offer. Definitely a good thing to offer a trade.
But... Okay, maybe king coming to d5.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time. It's time. Yeah. It like this position is completely playable.
Yeah.
Especially on this level.
Rook a3 would be a good move now.
Yeah, but we still can come back,
Rook e3, yeah, and then try to bring the king to d5.
Yeah, it's important to not sacrifice anything because it can go wrong. But maybe... Okay, king e4, okay. No, come on.
Oh, it looks like he's not trying to win. We have a tie break, folks. We have a tie break.
This blunder didn't make me upset, but this draw... By just repetition...
Yeah. You want to see the winning spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Drittman's getting himself pumped up. He's happy to have escaped that one because, he was down a piece. He's aware of that. He knows that he played part of that game down a piece. So he's actually happy with the draw, which is perhaps like a first for Drittman. But, game 4 of a match, down a piece.
Oh, and now Rengao is playing
that
with
one.
black after this dragon loss.
Right. Yes. So we'll see what kind of choice he makes with his opening here.
I think he got a switch. Because he didn't have time to check opening again. I don't think he's gonna go into rook h8 line. So...
Yeah. So your other student, Dai, is playing a very interesting middle game here with Chess Maestro, and in fact is currently contemplating a sacrifice on g4.
Yeah, we were discussing such sacrificing. But maybe he's gonna go for it. But we were discussing it like from g-pawn side. And he played g5 in some game and opponent sacrificed. And he didn't find how to fix it. And I told him like such sacrifices are not so bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting what you're gonna do. Especially like he doesn't have chance to lose right now. So... What is this emote have to know? It's evil.
It's the only one I know. I just use faces. Like a smiley face is because I'm happy, and a sad face is because I'm sad. That's my only
this emote looks so sarcastic.
That's all I've got. It looks a little sadistic.
Looks like no, just get burnt in hell.
I mean, this show has been a little bit sadistic. We watch the players. They play under pressure. They make some mistakes. Yeah. Oh yeah, Charlie wants to know Dai wins on Twitch channel, which is I had it.
Yeah. I think I can't send links, so I just sent nickname into chat.
It is just Dai win, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just Dai win. All right. So he did not go for the sack on g4. I think it might have been good. What do you think here? It's very interesting to consider.
Okay. Yeah, chat just gave me accidental so because of your movement settings. Okay, I would sacrifice here, I think.
You would? Okay. With the bishop or the knight?
In a blitz game, in online game.
I was
Knight
thinking like
first.
maybe even with the bishop. Normally you try and set up this like pin, but I was thinking
I
maybe
don't
with the
I don't
knight.
sacrifice my bishop.
You don't sacrifice the bishop. Oh, because
No.
white has knight e5 here. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's never good to sacrifice your bishop.
Okay, we won't do it then.
You can sacrifice rook if you want.
Okay. We'll keep the bishop. White will play bishop e2 to try and hold things together. And then probably
I know queen f4
queen
maybe.
f4 to stop
rook
knight
e6,
e5.
rook e6.
It's either rook e6, knight e5, or queen f4, bishop c1.
I'm not really sure if that's working. It just looks funny. I like queen f4 more, I think.
Yeah.
Because
By
queen won't get blocked.
By attacking f2, we stop the knight e5 move, and then we can still bring the knight.
Yeah.
Whereas if we bring our rook first,
White
then
gonna do bishop f3.
after knight e5, our queen gets blocked out.
Yeah, but after queen f5, white has bishop e3 maybe.
Has what? Bishop e3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
lift?
go for rook c6, I have knight h4.
Ah, knight h4. Yikes. Yikes. Queen h5. Bishop takes.
Queen h5 I'll
queen
just
takes,
take, yeah.
and takes. You just... Black doesn't have
Yeah,
pieces
yeah.
left.
Yeah, but I mean, you can probably like take on f3 before rook e6, but it's not so simple, and you give away your bishop.
Right.
So
this is tricky, right?
yeah, that's really tricky. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would do it in classical. Oh
Yeah.
wait, bishop e3, knight c3.
Okay, knight c3. Bishop
Oh, maybe no, there is
g4.
knight h4. No. I mean.
Oh, before.
Instead of.
Before this.
Yeah, before.
Okay, sorry, yeah. This move here. Okay. Then
Yeah, knight c3, knight h4. And I think queen f6 is winning.
That's hard to find.
Yeah.
Good one. That is hard to find. Okay, so a little exploration. The sack on g4 was, let's say, at a higher difficulty
Interesting.
level than this rating group, right? Like the full calculation there is really, really high level, which is part of your point that you can consider these sacrifices like every time
Yeah,
at this level.
I mean,
it's
I wouldn't
hard.
calculate the sacrifice in Blitz. I would just do it.
Mhm.
So they still could do it. Probably white wouldn't do like bishop c1, bishop e3 as well. So.
Yeah, bishop c1
Oh,
is
there is
like a
one
hard
more
move to
kid
find.
gambit.
So anyway, so here they are. The bishop came back to g6. White played knight e5.
Look into Zoom.
And the game stays interesting. What's in Zoom? What's happening in Zoom? Oh,
There is
we
one
got the
more
baby.
kid gambit.
We've
Yeah.
got a baby.
Oh, and there is a dog as well.
A baby and a dog. All right. Yeah, so I think he made it through his matches without being distracted, so that was good.
Yeah.
And now he's going to show his kid the games that he just played.
Hard to say. Hard to claim I was not distracted with how I played the last 3 games, but not by him.
Not by him? What distracted you
one
then?
more dog.
Running over a win I was a little too proud of, a little too early, honestly.
Okay.
The
You got
opposite of tilt. I threw myself off by doing too well in the first game instead of by doing badly.
Got so happy about the first game. All right. Well, we have some opening theory here between Dritman and Renga. They have switched from the dragon
Oh
to
my
the
God.
Night Orf, and it's even sharper. And Renga's got over 15 minutes, so maybe he won the who knows the opening theory contest.
Oh wait. Can you move like 2 moves back?
I can, yeah.
I think I know what's it.
Yeah, 92.
No, like just few moves back for me to understand what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. English attack Nightorf.
Okay. I think he's actually really good in neither in dragon stuff. So
Yeah.
And I told him that there is no like super big difference between neither and dragon. So like, I mean, in playing style, of course.
Yeah.
So if he plays well in dragon and he is getting playable position in neither, he still can do it. So Because he didn't want to show his dragon during some Sensei thing, as you could see. Not Sensei, Chess Dodger thing. Before tournament, so he played neither, and he's still good in both neither and dragon. So
Yeah. Now he's thinking here. He pretty much has to take on a2. I don't think there's any other move here. I'm sorry, on b3.
yeah.
The point is that if pawn takes knight, he can then take on a2. So.
Oh, maybe we'll have one more kid if we won't finish too early.
Yeah,
From chat.
Lars is off getting his kids.
Which piece would you move, Ben?
White?
White. He wants to play white here.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
White should move something.
Yeah. That's right. This is an intense line. I like black's position. I just wonder if white take pawn with c pawn. If black gonna do rook a2. Yeah. And then
is it working?
And then if king b1, you've got queen a5.
I mean, I'm gonna take knight.
You're gonna take the knight. Okay.
Yeah. That's the most important question.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see. So
there is some chance that it's not working, and if white takes pawn on b3, black just gonna take on e6. Like check, king c2. Queen c7, and maybe even king c3. And white is up a piece.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I believe after pawn takes b3, black has to take on e6.
Yeah. So here, pawn takes b3, take on e6 first.
Yeah, and after that, white gonna do king b1.
Right.
But black has queen a5, which is probably fine.
Yeah. Normally, if white's able to play knight c1, they've got like a small advantage in this line.
You think so here as well? I don't know.
It depends. Normally, the light squared bishop gives you like a long-term advantage if black doesn't immediately attack you.
Yeah, but I mean, black can bring some pieces pretty fast, like knight c5 maybe,
Knight
or
c7.
knight c7, rook c8.
Cover this along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, but white is completely fine, at least right now. So.
Yeah, messy.
Yeah. So my main question was actually like if white can just take like on d7 after rook a2, and they probably can. Oh wait, I don't like this one.
Dripman took on f7, so.
I don't like this one because now after pawn takes b3, black can easily take on a2, and knight is protected.
Yeah.
So I think white messed up.
Maybe so. He weakened the light squares for black more, but he weakened his own king for himself more. So that's kind of the trade-off in priorities here.
Maybe rook a2, queen b4.
Right. Yeah.
And c5 and oh wait, there is just bishop g5. I'm sorry, I'm blind today.
Rook a2, queen b4, bishop g5. You think?
I think
Yeah, just
at least
some of those black
like
pieces.
I'm not saying it's the best move, but at least.
Yeah, at least pretty good. Yeah, and a rook a2.
Or maybe d5, d4, and then bishop g5.
King b1. This move should just be terrible for white at this point. So.
It would be pretty sad.
So rook a2 looks pretty reasonable for Rangao here.
Yeah.
By the way, folks, this is the 3rd to 6th place match. Let me switch to our other view for a second so you can see the scores in the matches that have concluded. This is the 3rd to 6th place match over here between Dripman and Rangao. Tied 2-2. They are in overtime playing game 5, their first extra game. They've switched. Rangao has switched the battle from the Dragon Sicilian to the Najdorf Sicilian. which will be just as sharp, but he had, he wasn't happy with the positions he was getting with the dragon. So switching it up. And yeah, I'm thinking after rook a2 that black's doing quite all right.
Yeah, I think after queen b4, black just need to do g5 by taking queen, and then z4 taking bishop, and only then take on g5.
So first here, boom, queen moves who knows where. Let's say b7.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like,
d4.
I don't think white can sacrifice on d4, right? I don't think so. No way you can sacrifice it. Yeah, no way. Yeah, maybe queen on b7. I will just go knight c5. Probably.
Well, I don't know. It might be possible actually. Knight d4, pawn
I'll
takes,
just take,
bishop c4.
and I will.
But there's knight d6.
Yeah.
That deals with the
I mean,
d7
queen b7
knight.
is just awful move. Queen b7 is just awful move. You should bring queen somewhere else.
Okay.
I think.
I
Maybe
don't know that she's got a good square, but
yeah, but queen b7 looks bad.
yeah. I mean, like, is the alternative e1? That's not fun. It's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, queen e1 looks like only like option, but here d4, like, there's like no way white can sacrifice. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe bishop g5 here also works. Okay, that's not our problem. That's player's problem now.
Yeah, he's thinking a long time on rook a2, but these moves have a lot at stake, and he goes for it. And,
yeah. Anyway, like white need to take on b4, which looks pretty scary. So
king b1 played. King b1 played. Oh, actually, yeah, king b1, queen a5. You can play knight c1, rook a2, king c2, and then block the c file with the bishop on c4. Maybe. It's still a game. It's still a game. We don't know for sure.
I like queen a8 for black.
Queen a8 better.
I don't think it's working, but it looks cool.
Well, there's nothing
wait,
wrong
we can do
with...
queen a8 immediately.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with queen a8.
Yeah, I was thinking about queen a5, knight c1, rook a1, and then queen a8, but we can do it immediately.
Yeah, do it immediately. Oof. So white's still gonna have to play knight c1, I think, and then they can defend
Just
the rook
check.
on h1 with bishop d3 when you check.
Yeah, but queen c6.
Well, and so like queen a8, knight here, rook check, king up,
Yeah.
queen check,
Queen c6, bishop c4,
Queen
and
c6,
knight c7 with d5 idea, I think.
and knight c7 to try and get this light square.
Yeah, knight c7. Yeah, and I want to do g5. So you play like rook f1 and I do g5.
Yeah, on rook f1, d5. White would need a really strong move here after knight c7. Really something good. I don't believe it for white. Let's see what he's done. He's played queen to a5
I don't
here.
believe...
He's played
Okay.
queen to a5 here.
Yeah, okay, queen a8 looked like too much, yeah.
I don't know if you crunch numbers and you're carefully tracking whether your team's finishing third or fourth. I feel like you're not too worried about the points, but for those who do care, Seth has correctly pointed out that if Ranga wins this match, Sasha's team will finish in third place. And if Ranga loses this match, then Andras' team will finish in third place.
I felt much better before this information, much less nervous, you know.
Okay. Apologies.
Okay, knight g3. Okay, white gonna do bishop c4, and I kind of not sure if Rindao sees bishop c4 there right now.
Maybe this would have been a better move against queen a8. Also, the line we were calculating that looked so good for black. Maybe
Yeah.
it would have been better there.
Yeah, knight g3 is a good idea.
Yeah. So here's the puzzle. I mean, like, white needs to cover their king. Black needs to, fight back on the light squares a little bit at some
king
point.
h8.
Just king h8.
Yeah, but white has like some kind of knight f5. Wow. Queen a8 was a better move.
Mm-hmm. So now, I mean, could black play knight c7 and then against bishop c4 just push the d pawn?
And if white will
And
just
white just
take.
takes with their e pawn, and then they threaten d6, right? So like something
Yeah, it
like
doesn't
this.
look great. How they have so much time
Okay.
in this position? It's crazy.
Yeah, well, they did know about 15 moves. Quickly,
Yeah,
and now they
but-
get to like think really hard on these really hard moves here.
Yeah.
A funny thing about this particular line, which, you know, I've seen like Karyakin and Anand and like other players of that level discuss at length in classical chess, is even in classical chess with 2 hours on the clock, what you'll see is the players will play like 17 to 20 moves in 1 minute. You know, just the time of writing down their moves. And then 3 moves later at move 22, they'll be in time pressure on like a 40 move in 2 kind of situation.
Because, usually that's some kind of long preparation.
Yeah.
And if you get some problem, it means just that your opponent prepared one more move.
Yeah.
So it means you need to spend a lot of time.
The
right
position's
now.
so critical that if you make one mistake, you could lose. If your opponent prepped one move more than you or one idea you don't know, you might need like an hour to look, 8-10 moves ahead in these positions and find your way.
Knight b8
is a shocking move.
I tell you, he didn't see bishop c4.
Yeah?
Yeah.